Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 437. What? We're here early, and I don't just mean like at 9 o'clock. We're here a full half hour early tonight for a jam-packed, incredible show.
There's a lot of announcements that happened over the just over the last 4 hours, it feels like, but in general, the last week since we're jam-packed with our guests last week. This is the silly season, as they say. This is the season when everybody kind of starts announcing their moves and trades and re-signings and contract announcements, all that stuff, and we're here for it. We're here to talk to all the players if we can, and depending on what they'll tell us.
Or if they want to talk to us.
Or if they even want to talk to us. We don't know.
We saw plenty of your calls go unanswered, and I was starting to feel bad.
I don't think
All right. In all seriousness, we do have a super busy show tonight, and, again, just because we had so much action to come at you, we decided to come in a little bit earlier so we didn't have to shift around everybody's schedule entirely. So I appreciate all the gracious patience and graciousness from all of our guests tonight. And I think it seems like a pretty appropriate way to kick things off. We've got our world champion, James Conrad. He's joining us first. And James, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Terry. Thanks for having me on Smashbox tonight.
Yeah, of course.
Always. You're as we say to a lot of our guests, you're always welcome here. You don't have to win worlds or sign a huge 4-year extension. You're always welcome just to come on and chat with us.
I mean, if you want to just come in and juggle for us, I mean, you'd entertain people for hours.
It's true.
We could maybe sell tickets to that even. So welcome in. Plenty of hype going around. This is that kind of, that time of the season. We saw a lot of players announce that they're maybe leaving a manufacturer and then waiting for another week, another month, whatever it is, to say, hey, here's where I'm now going. They have some, shifting to do. All of that, any potential rumor of that was put to bed recently for the public's eye in terms of what you're doing. So tell us what officially became the news yesterday.
Yeah, MVP and I signed a 4-year contract. So I signed with him just about 2 years ago initially, and that was just a 2-year deal. And obviously that went pretty well, I think, for me and for them. So I felt like it was somewhat of a no-brainer to stick it out and to continue working together with MVP, and I'm super excited for the opportunity.
Well, if you signed a 2-year deal and got a holy shot with a 4-year deal, imagine what you're going to get. I don't know.
Yeah,
hopefully some more good stuff.
Exactly. And I was just going to say, there's a lot of rumors, and maybe you can answer some of them or dispel some or back them up, but there's often rumors on the internet. I know that's crazy, but there's rumors about just how successful the make of the Holy Shot disc was, and how many they sold, and what it meant for MVP as a company. Is there anything that you can that's very fair to share with the world in terms of either those numbers or the overall impact that it had for MVP?
Yeah, they one thing I super appreciated that they did was they'd released them on like a pre-order basis. So that kind of didn't put like a cap on how many they could sell, and I thought that was super awesome of them. Because at the time, like I feel like all the manufacturers were pretty swamped, and pretty much anything they were putting out was selling, and so there was like limited stock on hand for a special run or anything like that. And the way they did it on pre-order release, it was able to pretty much meet the demand, I feel, for those discs. And I'm not sure if I'm at liberty to say exactly how many they sold, but it was definitely a significant amount, and I was definitely thankful for that. And I feel like they were happy with it too, I'm sure.
I'm sure they were, because at that point, like you said, discs were hard to get. They could have easily announced, we'll just make up a number, 10,000 are going to be sold, and that's it. And that would have driven a collector market insane. But instead, what they did is they made it more equitable for everybody and allowed whoever wanted 1 or 2 or 5, how many ever, or probably 50 like Terry probably ordered.
I ordered over 200.
Okay, so 200, or if you wanted to order 200, by all means, then they allowed that, which I thought was phenomenal. I'm there with you.
Yeah, I'll just say I thought I saw some rumor about that more of those were made on that pre-order basis than all of their other discs for the year. And I don't know if there's any truth to that, but nonetheless, it was, like you said, it was awesome for you, awesome for MVP. Wherever the rumors fall or whatever the numbers were, it sounds like everybody's very happy with it, which is what matters. So we've seen other people talk about their shifts and their moves, and you're clearly good friends with so many people in the community. As someone who moved from a major manufacturer in Innova a few years ago over to MVP, which by and large was not a common practice at that time, do you ever get asked for advice or input, or either semi-friendly or in a professional or not so professional sense? Do people talk to you about contract negotiations ever?
I wouldn't say I'm too involved with that. I mean, if it's a close friend that's thinking about making a switch, I'm happy to give them my thoughts on like why I switched and how it felt to switch or that sort of thing. But I would not say I'm overly involved with most anybody's negotiations. I think that, yeah, a lot of people I'm like pretty close friends with when I see them, but not a lot. I'm not like messaging back and forth or on the phone with a lot of people too often. So this time of the year, like I'd still consider all my friends on the road to be some of my closest friends in the world, but that doesn't mean I'm really talking to them on a daily basis during the off season.
Yeah, you certainly don't strike I think anyone as the guy that's sitting around and gossiping about, oh, did you see what so and so's getting, and but they're getting, you don't. I can understand you relax from all of that, as you probably should, but I want to follow that up and say one of your really good friends in Nate Perkins has effectively been kind of acting on your behalf to some degree, right? Is he help with some negotiations and just kind of explain that process? We don't need details, but explain what that kind of means for you.
Sure. Yeah, he's working with Schaefer Sports Agency, who I'm also working with, and so he's acting as an agent. And basically that takes some of the difficulty off of me. I feel it can be hard to like sell yourself as well as someone else can sell you. It could feel kind of uncomfortable to like have a conversation where you're telling someone that, no, I think this is how much money I'm worth. That kind of thing is kind of difficult, and especially as some of those values start to get a little bit higher. Like it's one thing if you're just asking for some discs or something, be like, yeah, I'm totally worth it to get some discs. But when you're starting to ask for actual salaries and things like that, it's definitely beneficial to have someone in your corner, someone that can kind of step up to bat for you and make those points without putting me in an uncomfortable place. And so it definitely took a lot off my plate, and I definitely think it was helpful to my negotiations to have someone working with me and Nate Perkins.
So the 4-year contract extension with MVP, how different is this contract than your previous 2 years? Is it I mean, if you want to give us numbers, you can. Most people at this point are not doing that these days. But is it a significant improvement for you, you feel? Or is it similar to what your 2-year was, just extended to another 4 years? Were you happy with what you were getting those previous 2 years and you were like, cool, let's keep that up?
Yeah, I'd say that the base amount is pretty similar. It's a little better than my previous contract, but we were able to negotiate for some higher royalty rates on some of the discs, and so that could definitely increase like the ceiling of what I have the potential to make quite a bit over the next 4 years, and that could be huge for me.
Awesome.
What is the most important thing to you when it comes to your contract? You just mentioned one I think element of it, but what are some of the things that you probably had in there that are still in there that just really resonate and are important to you as a player and as a touring professional?
Yeah, I think that just like a clear set of like what is expected of both parties is super important. I mean, that's kind of the basis of a contract, but knowing, what it is that a manufacturer expects of me is pretty crucial to me. And I'm, in my mind, I don't want that to be like too much beyond, competing with their plastic. Like I'm not out on YouTube producing videos every week. Like that's not where my value is. I don't feel, and my value is in them being able to use my name and my image to sell their discs and me throwing their discs. And so as long as that's pretty clear, that's super important to me. And then, yeah, just it's important also, like I have my James Conrad line of discs with MVP, and that's been amazing for me. Like the Nomad and the Terra and the Zenith, those have been super great. And so a big point moving forward was what that Conrad line might look like moving forward, and I was hoping that could continue, and that's something that we were able to agree on, and I'm super excited about.
And is that something that will continue to develop into more, or do you have to earn more discs, or kind of explain what that means to someone who might not be familiar with that?
Sure. Yeah, we're looking to at least add one more disc to my line each year for the next 4 years. So that should really fill out like the James Conrad lineup to, eventually 7 discs. And yeah, I'm just super excited about it. The opportunity to work with MVP directly, making discs that will fit what I'm looking for, and hopefully be popular discs.
And as you mentioned, having those clear expectations. When you look back at, well, let me go here first. Is it very clear as to how many events? I mean, those that must get talked about. They kind of expect blank amount of events. Maybe you do more and that's on you, or maybe you do less or whatever. But it would give us kind of like an idea of like a framework to, do you tell them, yeah, I'm committing to at least 20 or 15 of certain level of events? Is that kind of how it goes? Is that where it starts?
Yeah, it's kind of in that ballpark. Um, I'm pretty committed to playing all the majors and most, if not all, of the Elite Series, but I'm not really expected to play anything beyond those. If I want to play some regional events or anything like that, then I'm sure they I'm sure that's awesome, but they're not expecting me to play those type of events. So that's something that is also really good for me. I don't want to be playing every single week. I want to be focusing on the events that matter a little bit more, and having a little more time to prepare for those and be ready for them when the time comes.
And then speaking of events, we have to quickly, or at least briefly, reflect a little on this previous year for you. How do you look at 2022? If you had to give yourself, whether it's a grade or a just an overall vibe or feel to it, or analysis, whatever you want to call it, how do you reflect back on 2022 for you as a player?
I felt like last year was a little bit of a slow and steady year for me. I felt like I had quite a few really solid rounds, and I made quite a few lead cards, but it was pretty rare that I was really in the mix to win events. So that was a bit disappointing. I don't really feel like I was ever in danger of like missing the cash line or anything like that. So maybe one event I was in danger, but I had to step it up. So I was just kind of steady, but not doing really anything exceptional most of the year. Not exactly what I'm looking for, obviously, but not a year to be ashamed of or anything like that either.
Certainly not. Now, I wonder, is there any less pressure? Of course, you're reigning champ from 2021 coming into the 2022 season. Everybody knows your name that much more. Everybody, is there and excited to see you. And I think that's going to all continue, of course, but maybe a little less pressure when you walk onto the course and people are expecting to see the current world champ. I mean, you're only 1 year removed from being world champ, and you'll forever have that title. But you think there'll be any less pressure maybe this year for you?
Yeah, I think there could be some truth to that. It's hard to like quantify like where the pressure is coming from or whatever when you're out on the course. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed like the feeling of being the world champion, stepping onto the course, and I think there's definitely a chance that it added some pressure, and was something that was like maybe hard to like live up to last year. But I'm looking forward to just kind of resetting and hopefully coming out swinging in 2023.
Now, with the year that you just had, looking into, of course, you got 4 years coming up on your contract. Is there anything in the last, we'll say 2 or 3 months, that you've really been hyper focused on, or at least even thinking about, hey, 2023, I need to do blank, practice this, prepare this way, whatever. I don't care what it is. Is there anything that you feel like you're going to either have or are going to put more focus into in 2023 season?
I'd say there's a couple. I feel like I could definitely spend a little more time on the putting green. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I feel like the putting kind of was lackluster last year, and that's something that's a pretty easy fix.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just have to get comfortable with that release and get it super dialed in. Can shave a lot of strokes that way, and then I feel like sometimes a lot of my mistakes come on somewhat stock shots, like on a 400-foot hyzer shot. I'm like pulling it wide, hitting it too flat, something like that. So just buckling down, getting some more field work in, getting some of the routine shots to where they're super routine, and that I'm not making unforced errors on shots that should be simple.
Yeah, just looking at your stats here on UDisc, we can see that your C1X putting is 85%. It's 37th in the field. Obviously, there's a little room for improvement there. Your Circle 2, actually, which you've always been known as a pretty good Circle 2 putter, 26%, 47th in the field. And the one that surprised me a little bit is Scramble. You're 92nd in the field there. So I don't know if that is not, if maybe you didn't give yourself those opportunities. I know sometimes the stats can be a little tricky, but they can always be read different ways. But that's kind of what I'm seeing as, when you mentioned putting, and your quote unquote worst stat is Scramble. So
okay, that's something to keep an eye on.
Go hang out in the Austin. Go hang out in the Austin woods and just throw out of the woods different ways.
And there's always
slick rollers.
That's right. That's
exactly. Right. I mean, there's always a good way to work on your scramble percentage, and that's to have less scrambling.
Have less scrambles,
and maybe that comes as a result of your routine stock shots. They all correlate one way or another. You can't lead every category, but some definitely matter to the other. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's almost the opposite. Like I feel like if you have a lot of chances to scramble, you can get your scramble stat up. But if you're only off the fairway a few times and you miss one of them, then all of a sudden you're at like 40% scramble rate. So
Good
stats
call.
can be tricky like that.
They can be,
right.
exactly, that inverse relationship, or some other phrase I'll throw out. Looking back, if we're in reflection mode for a moment, looking back at 2022, what would you say is your one of your favorite? What's a memory that puts a smile on your face that maybe wasn't on the course, and but was still somewhat within the mix of touring and traveling and disc golf? What jumps out at you when you think back to 2022 memories?
I'd honestly say one of them. It was kind of on the course, but competing with Gannon out at the Masters Cup, we kind of had a battle the final round. He ended up getting me by a stroke or two, and I think that kind of was like an icebreaker for him somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
It was his first win on tour, and then he obviously went on to have a super strong second half of the season. But Gannon's a good kid, and it was cool to battle with him, and then to see him have so much success later in the year, that was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, makes sense. And right now, you mentioned Gannon, one of our young superstars. We've got so many up-and-comers as the sport just keeps getting younger and younger. Gannon joins, in that very elite club you're also in, of being a U.S. champion. You've been playing disc golf longer than a lot of our other players, with the PDGA number in the 17,000s. What do you think about where we are as a sport? And I know it's a really big question, but just kind of generally speaking, have we arrived? Are we there yet?
Yeah, I think it's amazing to see where we are I can't say I ever would have guessed that we would have, at this time we would have players with $1 million contracts like Paul and Rick and such, and that, that there'd be this many people able to make a living playing disc golf. And so it's amazing how much it's grown. I feel like one of the directions it's grown is that we've really gone towards like the golf course layouts and stuff like that, and it's hard to avoid because they're so easy for spectators to actually see what's going on. But I'm hoping we hold on to like the disc golf that I grew up with, which is like tough, like wooded golf and things like that. So I'm hoping we can keep maintaining that balance somewhat, where there's room for plenty of spectators and room for it to be a spectator sport, but there's also some of the heart of disc golf remains, and it's not just like a ball golf 2.0.
Yeah, and dare I ask, which venue? I was going to say, because we can't play every event at Maple Hill, which I think you wouldn't argue with. Most people wouldn't argue with. But even Maple Hill has its limitations due to just overall crowds. So what venue, and it may or may not be your favorite course, but what venue do you feel like kind of has the best balance right now of spectatorship, but also the challenge that the course provides? Is there one that you feel kind of leads the path or leads the way?
I think that's kind of tough. I think that Green Mountain does an awesome job where we have Fox Run that is super spectator friendly and pretty open, and then there's also Brewster, which is obviously not as ideal for the spectators, but having two courses, I don't feel like it's terrible. I'm not sure.
I thought the Portland course last year did kind of an okay job with that. Wasn't that?
The redesign seemed to be really well received. Is that a fair assessment?
It seemed like there was a lot more shot shaping and room for people.
Totally, yeah. I think it was called Glendoveer, and that was an amazing property. It was a really fun layout, and yeah, some of those trees and just like the property were just magical, like just monstrous trees out on the course, and I feel like that definitely adds something.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to continue to be an interesting intersection for us in disc golf, like you just said. We want the spectators, we want a great experience for them, but we want to see players challenged with some technicality and kind of the origins of our sport. And I don't know, whatever properties hopefully will, somehow mesh the two of those as best as they can, because we want to grow it for all the right reasons, but we want our golfers to be challenged, in these ways too.
And I think the bigger that we get, the more popular we get, the more access we'll have to better land as well, that we can hit that,
Totally.
those nice courses, because for years we've I want to say, quote unquote, stuck with like kind of second tier golf courses, like as a golf course. So they might not be the prettiest course, because the best courses, as we know, are going to be.
Yeah, they're not going under currently.
They're not going under, and they're not as likely to allow us on there. But the bigger as a sport we get, the more revenue we can bring into these places, the more likely these really nice, beautiful courses are going to allow us onto their land. So I'm hoping in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see some of that, where we're going to get more things like Glendoveer. And I think the Stockton course was decent enough.
Trending in that way.
It was trending in that direction as well. So we can only cross our fingers and hope.
And speaking of courses and areas, we see a lot of players settling down in various parts of the country. Of course, most of them are going to warmer climates overall. Sounds like you're in Texas. How did you pick where you were going to hunker down for the off season, so to speak?
Yeah, we're staying down in Austin, Texas. We've been here maybe a month and a half already, and we picked it partly because of the weather. I've always enjoyed the time I've spent in Austin. There's tons of good live music. There's like the Barton Springs area is super amazing. You can go swimming in like 68-degree water every day of the year. And there's one of the main reasons, though, was we got in contact with a company called Chewy Design Co., and they're building out our bus for us. So Jordan and I bought a shuttle bus. It's like a F650 cab with a big old box on the back. It's like a 25-foot by 8-foot like living area basically, and it felt a little out of the scope for me to do myself in the limited time window we have. So we were able to find a company that was able to work on the build for us, and they're located just outside of Austin. So they're well underway on that build, and super looking forward to having a bigger rig this year, having a little bit more comfortable space on the road.
That's amazing. Yeah, you've been in that van for a few years now, and so to get an upgrade in living space, I can't wait to get to a tour of it at some point.
Yeah, you're gonna need to buy tickets.
Yeah.
I mean, a whole bus. I mean, the whole thing. I think about people keep asking if you miss Greenie, but I was gonna say, do you? What did you do with the van? Is that did you get to keep that and hold on to that as a backup, or
pass it down to another player,
or is that just get sold within the disc golf community? What happens?
We're holding on to the van. We're actually still kind of living out of it and driving it around town while the bus is getting worked on. And we're not quite exactly sure where we're going to keep it and things like that, but I think it'll be nice to have the option for like Jordan to be in the van for a couple weeks while I'm on a certain stretch of tour that she's not super interested in joining for, and just having two options. Maybe like take the van up to Vermont and Maple Hill, or certain trips it might be better to have one over the other, and so I think we're gonna have both.
Yeah, a lot more economical, possibly on certain legs throughout the country, which would make sense. All right, I've got two main questions that remain before we'll cut you loose. One is last year, even the year before, I think, is when we started seeing a little bit of the James Conrad merchandise and website, if I recall. Are we going to see more of that? Is that something, people are obviously asking for that. They want to go out and support you. They want to get your gear and such. What's where are you at with that? What's the game plan, and what can people expect?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We still have some available. It's on jamesconraddiscgolf.com. I haven't done too much of an update there in a little while, but definitely something I want to work on throughout the next year. And thanks for everyone that's already bought some James Conrad gear. Definitely appreciate it.
Awesome. Good. So there'll be more, and you're going to continue to develop that. That's the overall plan, I assume. And then the other question, it's on a tangent, certainly, for you, but this last week we saw Simon Lizotte has left Discmania, and among the million rumors that are out there, it feels like the loudest of where he may land is MVP. So just spill the beans. Do you know what's happening?
I don't know what's happening. Like I said, I kind of try to stay out of these things, and
nice try, Terry.
Yeah, I figured you'd try. I figured it would have been a little earlier in the episode, but
No. I mean, you're what counts, and we're so happy to see and hear of all your successes. To also know that you're going to be feeling secure about at least the next 4 years. It could well go beyond that, but to hear that you're locked in for 4 years, to see what's happened not only with your worlds in the shop, but to continue, I think, to make so many people at MVP and the rest of the disc golf community happy to see you throwing the plastic and to embracing it in the community in the way in which you have. I know that's going to make a lot of people happy. So, James, do you have anything else you want to share before we cut you loose here tonight?
I think that's it. Thanks for having me on, Terry. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Appreciate it, James. Looking forward to enjoy your time there in Texas, and we'll look forward to seeing you as we kick off the season here in just a matter of weeks. Take care, James.
All right, bye.
Good night.
All right, our 2021 world champion, James Conrad. The funniest part about that is, even though, like I said, I know that seems to be one of the loudest rumors being Simon to MVP among many, James may really not know whether he's going or not. There's he may not even be playing coy with us, being coy with us. He may genuinely not know.
I don't think he really concerns himself that much with like what a lot of other golfers are doing in general until the season starts. He seems like the kind of guy that's like, cool, season's over. I'll see you guys in, 4 months. I'm going to go chill in Austin, go check out some live music, and then not really need to know. He's got his things taken care of.
Yeah, so exactly that. We wish him the best, and I know in having a brief conversation a little bit earlier today, I know Nate Perkins, as he said, helping go to bat, act as an agent on his behalf. Also, Blake over there at Schaefer Sports. And just as he said, there is that great intermediary now, that buffer, that person that is acting on your best, for your best interests and trying to get you the best possible deal, which makes sense because some people are much better at arguing on their own behalf and or being demanding or just trying to set an expectation. And
it can be really awkward advocating for yourself, telling people we live in a culture where a lot of times it's difficult to tell somebody how great you are. Here's what I can do. Here's how awesome I am. I'm gonna bring you this much money and I deserve this. That can be very, as much as we should be able to do that as a culture, it is awkward. And so to have somebody do that for you is a relief. And then someone to yell at when they don't get the best deal.
Yeah, exactly. Then you always have someone. And speaking of near agents, I'm gonna send directly Hannah Macbeth a shout out and a thanks. It was in talking to her last night. She had some ideas in terms of what we were maybe going to expect to see today. And so I really appreciate Hannah reaching out, and I'm coordinating with her at the moment, actually, to see what we're going to do about getting our next set of guests on the show here. In the meantime, I just sent her that. In the meantime, let's talk about what almost broke. Well, it did. It got into the YouTube algorithms and literally was a trending video on YouTube in Simon Lizotte and his announcement about leaving Discmania. How wild!
I mean,
how many bets did you win? Did you win any bets?
0 bets as far as the number
in terms
of views?
of people's no. In terms of people saying, "Oh, he's not leaving. He's not going anywhere."
No, I was very convinced that he was leaving. I think a lot of people were. There was just too much smoke for there not to be some sort of fire. There's obviously talk of having, of where he's going, whether it's MVP, whether it was, there were rumors of a Michigan company, which could be Discraft. I mean, there were all sorts of things. And today, actually, Discraft announced their elite team. They had a big announcement. We can talk about that in a little while. But just in general, I mean, it's awesome for Simon. Last time I saw that thing had like 250,000 views. I don't know where it stands.
Oh, I was gonna say I feel like that's even possibly old. I think I last saw it a day or two ago at 267,000.
Okay, so yeah.
Regardless, there's a lot.
But it just goes to show that there is a lot of interest in Simon. The fact that he is, it was a simple, sincere goodbye message to Discmania, which he's been with for over 10 years, and it got how many, Terry?
276,000 as of right now.
276,000 views.
Let's play it. Then maybe we'll get more views on our. We'll just play the whole thing straight through for 10 minutes. So we'll talk a little bit more about it later. We'll probably have some more after show fodder. But
he's going to come on and announce his new sponsor tonight, right?
Yes,
with us.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
He better. He better.
After show.
Yeah, we're going to have everybody talking about their new deals, and Simon better be one of them. But yes, we'll discuss that at greater length
tonight.
Yes,
Darts Night gets us.
It does. And no, I don't. I'm just going to put this. Well, I don't think anybody's getting any companies. All right, and I know that's the super most popular phrasing on the planet. I tweeted about it. It's not. Someone had just asked if there's any chance Simon, wherever he's going, of maybe Thought Space is getting 30 or 40% of the company.
No, I've said this. We said this a couple weeks ago. Stop. Everybody, stop. Yes. No player is getting a portion of any company unless they start it. Now, if Simon starts a sub-Simon company and it works, he's suddenly his own sponsor, so to speak, and he's working with another company, that's a whole different thing. No player, 0 players, not even Paul Macbeth, is getting a cut of one of the larger manufacturing companies ever. Not as long as we're doing this podcast, probably.
Uh-oh.
larger manufacturers.
That's another argument for another day. So, speaking of, big contracts, long drives, we're going to now welcome to the show none other than Holyn Handley.
Hello. Are we going in?
We're here. Hi,
Am I on? Okay.
You're on.
Cool.
We're live.
Hey.
F it, we'll go live. No, you're all in.
You're going to blow out the mics. Come on.
Hi, Holyn. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Terry. How are you?
We are good here, and as we just talked to James Conrad, first of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you to Hannah for helping coordinate and orchestrate. But today, we see the Discraft Elite Tour team announced, and we see you on Team Discraft. Give us the scoop. What's going on?
I'm on Team Discraft. Well, actually, the whole team's actually in Paul's house right now. This is Paul and Hannah's office. So they're all downstairs playing Mario Golf, but they did this cool thing where they just they rented out an Airbnb for a couple weeks. They flew us all out here. And so we've just been getting to know each other and becoming friends and filming content together, playing practice rounds and stuff. And so, yeah, it's been a good time.
Wow. And just that, we saw a video drop today. There was a couple of promotions, I feel like, and then a couple of the new additions. I think we're going to talk to one of them also after we speak with you and Anthony Barela. But, we saw you come onto the scene just a couple of years ago, and you all but lied to us right here on the show and said, no, I'm not quitting my job. I'm not going on the tour. That's crazy. There's just not enough stability. I'm just not there yet. And then 2 weeks later, you're out competing at tour events, which we love.
To be fair, I wasn't lying when I told you that. I literally didn't decide that until about 2 weeks later.
All good. And it, if it was a lie, it was a lie for the better, because now we see you out there on tour. Talk about, you had a couple years obviously at Dynamic, and we're seeing that Discraft has made some pretty aggressive moves. What jumps out at you as looking for a switch and getting new plastic?
So like you said, I had a pretty good year this year. So I was kind of in a really cool position where I could kind of go anywhere. Because a lot of companies kind of saw the upside I have. I've had this pretty good upward trajectory. And I have a pretty high ceiling. And so I actually started working with an agent this year, Schaefer Sports Management. They work with a lot of the Discraft players, but, I sat down with him around Throw Pink time. And we kind of talked about beyond just what do I think I'm worth, but what are my values? What kind of people do I want to work with? What kind of way do I want to brand myself? And, we kind of settled on I really want to be a player first. I want my primary goal, my primary job to be winning tournaments, because I think I'm at that level where I could do that. And then, kind of secondary to that, with the media side of things, I want to be able to create value for the people who are supporting me. So, my fans, my followers, I'm doing the Pro Tip Tuesdays and all that stuff. That's all because I want to, give back to them and create value for them. But that is my secondary kind of goal. So when those two things, they're generally aligned with one another, but when those two things kind of conflict, I want to be able to choose what's best for me as a competitor. And I want all of my sponsors to be fully on board with that. And I really felt like Discraft kind of values the same things that I do. And so it was a very easy to kind of see myself on that team. And then, of course, after having a good year, they were interested in me. So, we reached out to them. We reached out to other companies as well. And, in addition to our kind of goals being aligned, they also gave me just a way better offer. So it was kind of just all things were kind of pointing to Discraft, and it really was a very easy decision to make.
And so you're on the highest Discraft Elite team this year. You are one of the top dogs. You're going to get yourself a special Tour Series disc this year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it's going to be?
Yeah.
Speculation? What have they decided?
Yeah, we're not sure. We've been kind of tossing around, what molds that I'm liking. And obviously my bag is still kind of changing, especially a lot this week with the whole team here and everyone kind of making suggestions and letting me try, stuff that's from different runs, stuff that they've worked in. So I'm not 100% sure. I've got a couple molds that I think I'm going to be throwing all year that I'd be pretty happy with, but nothing's really decided.
So real early, I mean, this is really interesting. What have you gravitated towards? What discs did you pick up and go, wow, I love this one right away?
And why do you love the Marauder?
The Marauder?
Terry, she's gonna say
What's the Marauder?
she's gonna say MRX.
I'm just saying they're popular molds, or the Vortex, maybe.
The MRX, the X clone. Have you
Typhoon?
Have you thrown an X clone?
Get yourself a. Oh my gosh! And don't
We're so
let
mean.
them talk you into an Impact. You want a Stratus. You want a Stratus is what you
Oh
want.
my God, you're literally naming molds I've never heard of.
That's
so.
because they stopped making them because we're so old.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
All right. Fine. You're with some newfangled plastic. What have you gone after? What are you seemingly liking right now?
Yeah, I mean, on the the high speed side, I'm finding myself really liking nukes. They do seem to go further. I don't know if that's a little bit some like improvement on my end or if they just go further, but I'm really liking the ESP nukes. I'm loving the forces, especially for forehand. And then for fairways, I'm really gravitating toward like the vulture. I feel like I've got some really overstable ones and I'm starting to beat some into like straighter. So I feel like I could see myself throwing just a bunch of vultures. And then for like kind of the straighter stuff, I'm still deciding, if I want to go Undertaker, if I want to go Passion. They're pretty similar. I don't know if I'll end up bagging both. Really like the Buzz, SS, and the Zone, obviously. I'm still like playing around with like 4 different plastics of zones, but really liking that. And then for putter, I'm going to be going Challenger SS. And then everything else we're still kind of figuring out, still playing around with some different molds, different plastics, trying to figure out what's like really good for me.
Along those lines, and that's great insight. We'll be excited to see, what you start with and then what you ultimately go with, and then if that transitions throughout the year or not as you continue to learn and try out things. But one of the other components to switching sponsors or primary disc sponsors may or may not impact other relationships with online retailers, with bag sponsors, so on and so forth. Where do you fall? You've been aligned, of course, with OTB and some others. Where do some of those sponsorships, do you have to end or let go of some of those, or will some of those maintain?
Yeah, so with my kind of other sponsorships, going back to that, really thinking hard about like what my values are and what I want for my career. I'm looking for the kind of sponsors who are willing to just kind of jump on board for my vision of what I want to do. So like that they want me to be a competitor first. And then they're like, we want to give you the support and we just want you to use our stuff. Right. And so for like a bag sponsor, I've gone with Squatch because I think they were right away on the same page, willing to support me financially. And they don't want me standing in front of a camera and being like, hey, this bag's great. They just want me to use it, let my kind of actions and the way that, I do my social media and stuff like that to kind of speak for itself, as opposed to, some sponsorships, they feel a little bit more like salesman jobs, where they want you like pushing product really hard and that sort of thing. And so I'm trying to avoid that at all costs and kind of, find people who are kind of similar to that Squatch sponsorship. So they're not all figured out yet, although it does look like I may not be going back to OTB, unfortunately, as much as I love them. We're in the works with a different retail sponsor that hasn't been like signed on or anything, so I can't give away too many details there. But
yeah, you can.
No, that's a really good, subtle way to raise the other person's offer. Like, Terry, I was thinking about going to another podcast. So
I'll trade you. Can I trade him for someone at OTB? I mean, we'll keep everybody in the mix.
They have a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, so I'll trade you.
They do have a lot of podcasts. They got a lot of players too. Yeah, they got a lot of good players.
Okay, and again, I know, yourself, and then, as we were just talking about Simon before you came on. Some of these decisions are very difficult to make. You've made great friendships. You've had great friendships, made inroads, and had these opportunities. Do you have any advice for someone that is contemplating, maybe a big transition or jumping on board with someone for the first time? Is there any advice or things, words of wisdom that you've that have resonated with you as you're making these, career defining decisions?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I've got good relationships with, the people at Dynamic Discs, people at OTB, like good friendships. And really, at the end of the day, because we're friends, they just want what's best for me. And if that means I'm not with them anymore, they're understanding of that. Like these have all been amicable, separating our business relationships, and we're still friends. So I think there's that. Like if they're truly your friend outside of business, they're going to want what's best for you. And that's certainly what I've experienced. Because at the end of the day, this is my livelihood. I have to do what I think makes sense financially, and also just what makes sense for like what I want to be doing with my career. So I guess my advice would be just like get what you want figured out, and then go from there. Because if you're sitting there kind of wondering like, well, do I want to be more of like, do I want to lean more into the influencer side of things and the business side of things? Do I want to focus more on the player side of things? Like, I think you have to know what your values are and start from there, and then everything else is a lot easier.
Was it announced how long your contract is with Discraft? Did they say 1 year, 2 year, 4 year, or
it's 1 year?
It's a 1 year. Yeah.
It's 39 year.
I don't know, maybe they really wanted to lock you in. I don't know.
That'd be smart.
I'll be
for
in
them.
my 70s or something.
Yeah,
my 60s.
Whatever.
60s or 70s, whatever.
Well, how does that conversation go? Of course, new to the team, but is that something that's where's that suggestion come from? Is that something you feel like is best for you, or Schaefer Sports or Discraft? How does that come about when you settle in on a term?
Yeah, I mean, this is something Schaefer and I talked about like from the get-go of like what kind of duration I'm looking for, and I was really looking for 1 year because I still think with the way like my like improvement is going, I think I will be more valuable at the end of this next season than I was at the end of the 2022 season. So I think, because that's kind of what you have to play is like, do you think you'll be like more valuable at the end of your contract or less? And I think I will be more valuable. So I want to renegotiate going into 2024.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially placing a bet on yourself that you're like you said, going to be more valuable. And you want to have options.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like I know there are players this year who signed a 2-year deal like last year who kind of wish they had signed a 1-year deal because they popped off and had a good year, but they can't. It's a little harder to renegotiate because really the company doesn't have to renegotiate. So.
Yeah, and I'll follow that up and then ask, and you're maybe the wrong person to ask in this juncture, but it kind of feels like contracts almost don't matter to some degree too, right? That's what it sort of feels like in a high level right now. People are moving and going.
But I think that here's my opinion about any multi-year contract. It needs to have an out for both the player and the manufacturer. Whether that's a buyout, which I know there are rumors that there was a couple players that bought out their contracts this year to get out of a contract early. I think that needs to be established for any multi-year agreement, because in the past we have seen players just walk away from contracts, and I think manufacturers are getting more aggressive with that type of enforcement. How would you foresee a multi-year agreement for you? Would you see a buyout option, or do you think that you are in pretend you re-sign with Discraft next year for 2 to 3 years, comfy? Just you love them and we're good to go, or always have something in the back of your head?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because I haven't been in that situation. Yeah. But yeah, I think I would want to have something in there that's like if I, reach certain milestones maybe with my play, like if I were to do it this year, I'd want to have something like if I win a major, I want to have such and so, like we're going to renegotiate, right? Or something like that. The only other way I could see myself leaving a contract early, and I would want to have an out, just in case, is if like they weren't holding up their end, sure. Or if suddenly like those values didn't align anymore and they were asking something of me that isn't in like my plan for myself, right? So if like Discraft was suddenly like, we want you to be posting every single day, and for screw playing and like whatever, we want you to just like, I wouldn't like that. you know, but they're not going to do that because like I said, we have an understanding of what my goals are and what their goals are, and we're like pretty aligned in that.
Well, and speaking of the posting, somebody had asked it earlier, and of course you referenced, your tips, Tuesday tips. What is it about sharing knowledge or information for you that because it translates well and everybody loves it, and you're often praised for the way that you're going about it. So, what is it about teaching people? Is it just feel natural, or is it help you learn better? What is it about teaching people?
Yeah, so I'm not so far removed from being a new player myself. But part of, when I first started playing, I never had aspirations to be a professional or to do this as my job. Like you said it earlier, you made fun of me for lying to you about going on tour, but like really up until that month, this was a hobby for me. And so the pursuit of improvement, I've always loved it as an end of like for what it is without like the competitive part to it. And so like the satisfaction that I get when I figure something out, I get that same satisfaction when I help someone else figure something out. And, I haven't had as much time this off season for coaching, at least one-on-one, because I've been focused on my own stuff, and namely learning a new bag. But being able to like see someone else, when it clicks for them, I get that same satisfaction as though it's like clicking for me. It's almost like a vicarious kind of thing.
And you're posting these Tuesdays tips to your Instagram, is that right?
Yes, to my Instagram.
Any thoughts on pushing them also to YouTube? Or I know there's different platforms, and different monetization and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've played around with the idea of like a YouTube, and I mean, I'm not necessarily doing it because I want to make money from content creation. It was kind of like I knew I needed to do something with my social media because like I don't care what kind of deal you have, even Discraft cares about what you're doing with your social media. And so that's very important. But I was like, I want to do it my way. I want to do the kind of content that I think is fun and interesting to make.
Yeah, you can sneak up.
Wow.
Saying hi.
I don't know.
Oh, geez,
Saying
we got
hi.
Bob there.
Yeah.
And Ezra.
What's
and
up,
Jocelyn.
everyone?
I told you they were all here.
Yeah, happy New Year, everyone.
Hi, guys. Corey.
Say happy New Year.
Oh, fantastic.
We're gonna line up the
Missy, get off. We had you on last week, Missy.
Yeah, get out of here. See, I told you they're all here.
Yeah. We're gonna line up the longest Smashbox ever if we've got to talk to
just
everyone.
get them in line, and we'll talk about
I
each
think
of
you
their
should.
contracts.
I think 24-hour Smashbox.
Yeah, well, we'll keep bringing them in. If whoever we need to talk to, we're all about it. So
It's whoever loses at Mario Golf has to come in and
Sub
do the
in.
next interview.
I think it's whoever wins at Mario Golf. What are you talking about?
There you go.
Give yourself some credit.
They'd all lose to me, so it's okay.
Yeah. Johnny might not beat you guys on the course, but Mario Golf, he's
Mario Kart for sure.
Sorry,
Golf
he's got
maybe.
So we kind of asked the same of James, but and you kind of touched on how you would essentially grade yourself for 2022. 2023, is there anything out of the ordinary? Is there anything that you're going to take a lesson of in the last 2 years and learn from that you're really feeling like, 2023 is here's where I can apply blank? Is anything jump out at you?
I mean, I think the way, like from a playing perspective, the way that I'm going to attack, especially the early season courses, is going to be very different. I feel like my game at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year was drastically different. And I can tell even just going back to like DFW area and playing courses that I haven't played in a year, I'm looking at the same lines, but I see them differently now versus a year ago. So I think my game plans may look a little different. I'll definitely be using the sidearm a lot more on these earlier courses because the distance has just increased so much and I'm more confident with it, especially in the wind. But a lot of the changes I think are going to be more on like the logistical side of things. So like getting campgrounds earlier, like knowing the better places to stay and like knowing which parts of the country are like super trailer friendly and which ones where I need to just stay on the interstate.
Yep.
And that sort of thing. Because like traveling across the country, every region's got their own little quirks. Like the Midwest is real easy when you have a trailer, but New York is really hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, learning that stuff. And then I think I'm going to be a lot more comfortable this year. So I'm going to have Tyler, my boyfriend, on tour with me the whole year. He jumped on tour right before Worlds. And that was, I mean, we saw it happen at Worlds. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
I think having my support person is going to make a huge difference. And then also we bought a big fifth wheel. So now instead of we're not in the little 21-foot camper anymore. We're in this big fifth wheel that's got every amenity we could want. It's got a king bed, full bathroom, big kitchen. It's got a living room. He's got his whole like desk and like gaming setup in there. We've even got a pull-out couch in case it's too hot for a van lifer to sleep in their van. Like we got everything set up.
So I just heard my invite. Yes.
Easy there, Terry. So is he?
Terry Miller's moving in.
Yeah, he's full time on tour now. So is he going to be helping
have like
do
remote work,
or is he going to be just working with you on Discraft stuff, or like management on Holyn stuff?
So he's working for the same company he was before. He was already working remote, and so they worked out a deal where he's working like way more limited hours. So he's able, like, and he can kind of work whenever. So he'll do practice rounds with me, and he'll be there as I'm like building my game plan and stuff, and then he'll caddy for me during rounds, and then just outside of that, he gets his work done.
All right,
that's great.
Sounds like a full schedule.
Because I know some people are doing managers and agents and things like that. Ricky has Ari, and I was wondering if he was going to kind of play that role for you to help line up clinics or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps to have a person.
No, he'll be helping me some with like filming stuff, but beyond that, like he doesn't really want to be that manager role.
Sure.
So that's where like Schaefer's my agent, and he takes care of a lot of the business sides of things now. So really, like the only logistical thing I have to do is like plan kind of where we're staying and like what tournaments I want to play, and we kind of do that together. But yeah, he's not taking on like an agent role or anything like that.
You going overseas this year? Europe?
Not this year, as of right now. That's not in the plan.
Okay.
But
a few more games of Mario
giving
Kart.
Me that look.
Well, I'm just thinking you could, win a few more games or buy Bob a beverage or two, mix something up, and next thing you know, there's a new line in the contract. I'm just saying, I know how things work over there. Okay. Is there anything that would be considered out of the ordinary for your schedule? Yeah, and I say that because I think of our very seasoned veterans are trimming back. They're essentially playing just the biggest, and that could be as few as 15 or 18 events. And then I think if someone in your position in your career, where you're younger, you're hungry, and are you going to take on 32 events in a year? Like where do you align yourself?
Let's see. I think as of right now, like including all of the events, like All Stars, A tiers, everything, I'm planning about 28 events.
Okay.
So I'm playing all of the stateside elite series and majors. I think I have 5 silver events on the tour or that are planned, and then I've got a couple like local A tiers to finish up the season. So I mean, I'm playing a pretty full season, but I do have off weeks kind of built in there. So I don't think I'm ever doing more than 4 weekends in a row without having some kind of break. Because I do think like I have the skills to win, so it's like I don't want to miss any opportunities to do that and kind of get that first win and get that momentum going from there. Because like the players who are all pulling back are all very established players. They've won a lot. They kind of get to do that. So I feel like I gotta win something before I can start thinking about pulling back. We just got started.
Well, and that's why I say I think about who wants to focus on just very specific events and in that regard trim back. And then I think of like you just said, I feel like you're out there trying to hit up every event you can and learn the events you like and dislike and the pockets of the country, and you're still playing new courses that some of these people have played 50 other times. You're still learning some of those new courses and taking it all in. So it's yeah. What would you say was I know you just referenced pockets of the country that are a little more favorable to be in. What would be one of the biggest travel tips or tour tips that you could share with someone that you took in the last year out there on the road?
Yeah. Oh, here's what. If you have a long drive, right, and you
Mhm.
have to sleep, you're not going to get to your next destination in one day, and you have to sleep somewhere. Hotel parking lots, best place.
Okay. Uh,
Because you can get there at 9 o'clock at night, just sneak in the back. There's like nobody there. You look like you belong, and no one's going to come mess with you. It's the best place.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It certainly does, because like you said, that everybody else is going to be there and park for the night anyway, and it's going to be safer than, a lot of people would think, well, if I go park in
Like a Walmart parking lot,
or even like a
No.
bank parking lot.
I did
Number
a
one pro
Walmart
tip.
one time. I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend it because
Yeah.
even if it's not a sketchy Walmart, they have semis coming in all night, and you
Yeah.
hear them.
Exactly.
Like hotels are quiet because people are sleeping.
Yep. And if you park in a bank parking lot all night,
You're gonna get the cops called, all but guaranteed. Even if you're being completely innocent, it's just not. Yeah, go to a place where other people are parking. That makes perfect sense.
parking
and blend
or
in.
sleeping.
Well, no, where other people are parking their cars anyways, and
Oh.
yeah, you're gonna blend in that much easier, I think. So it makes perfect sense. Um, you just mentioned a goal, or one milestone, maybe in whether it's a major or whatever. What is on your next, like, man, my checklist, my to-do list includes blank, and I really would like to check this off the list this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't generally set like goals and milestones for myself. I know it sounds
Okay.
kind of weird.
No.
Because obviously if I could set like my dream goals, it would be win everything, but that's not realistic. And then if you're trying to set realistic goals, you're kind of setting a limit on yourself.
Okay.
Right? So like obviously my goal is to win, so I try to focus in more and make my goals more like what do I need to do today that if I do this every day, if I kind of win the day, so to speak, and I do this a bunch of times, is eventually going to lead to me winning. Because like I believe I'm going to win eventually. I just don't know which tournament it's going to be. So really my goals are just like kind of honing like the way that I practice and the way that I make decisions and working on form changes, that sort of thing, and kind of honing those different processes. And then I know eventually it's going to lead to me winning.
Now,
That was like a weird answer, but
no, it makes sense, and I kind of even can dovetail that into the decisions and what you've learned over these last couple of years being on tour, whether it's the areas of the country, the advantages and disadvantages. What was the thought process about the exact trailer and travel setup? Because we see everything, from a minivan to
smaller than a minivan.
Smaller than a minivan for a few, but we've seen everything in between. James just talking minutes ago about going, what he was looking for in a shuttle bus, and everything in between to these massive RVs. How what went into the decision making process for you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, last year was kind of like we're just going to try this for a year and see how it goes. So I was just like, what's the cheapest way to get on tour? We already have a truck, so let's just get a trailer that it can pull. And so that was what I did. And I got one that had just enough room for me to sleep and have a kitchen and a bathroom and a place to sit, and that was perfect. Not great if you got two people. It's very like close quarters. We can't walk past each other. It's a little tight. Like kudos to us for living in that for like 3 months and still liking each other at the end, honestly.
I was just gonna say, were there any strains on the relationship, and or did
Honestly,
it strengthen
I think we did pretty good. I think we did pretty good. I'm proud of us. But we were both like, okay, we need something big enough that we can have our own like space. So like when he's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing, we're not like right on top of each other. So with the new trailer, we wanted, a big bedroom, ideally a king bed. We wanted a bathroom with a shower that we could use that's like tall enough because we're both 5'11". We needed a place for him to have his computer set up, and we needed to have good internet. We've got that. And then we wanted to have enough room that we could like have our friends come over if we wanted to like play video games or play board games, and we wanted to have a kitchen. And so we were looking at like about 35 feet, like max for a fifth wheel. Because we also did look at like getting like a class A or a class C, and maybe towing like a smaller car. Didn't go with that just because that's 2 engines, right? So that's 2 engines, that's 2 oil changes, and it's a lot easier to get your truck fixed than it is to get your RV fixed. 'Cause, yeah, I can take our Ram 2500 anywhere, and
Mhm.
someone will be able to like help, fix it. So that was a thought there. Also with the fifth wheels, you get a much higher ceiling. So if you're a little bit on the taller side, that could be a lot more comfortable. Having the slide outs makes it feel just like a lot more spacious in there. Honestly, it's nicer than most apartments we've had. Like, it's pretty sweet.
Okay. No,
The
I
setup.
and I love hearing that because everybody has a slightly different set of criteria for what they're looking for, and we're seeing every single iteration. Cat Merch also just made an announcement about what she's now going from her van, which looked like it was fully built out, to going to something even larger. We obviously just talked about James, but then seeing these massive RVs, and then Stacey Ronsley, switching up what she's been doing over the last couple of years. Just everybody has their different mechanisms, and then to even see people adapt and change it out for something else has been I feel like disc golfers we could get all the touring disc golfers together and they could give a TED talk on the tour life and what they've learned.
Totally.
And it would be so valuable to so many people.
Yeah, because you'll see people who go from like they do the Airbnb thing and then they switch to a big thing and then they go back to it's just like, what do you want? Like, because if you're the type of person who loves camping and being out, spending most of their time outside, a van's great. But if you're someone who wants to have an air conditioner, a van's terrible.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
And
it's that kind of thing.
Your teammate Paige, had a van and then ultimately looked like there was an upgrade to a different van, but yet they're not in that nearly as often because now they have a house. So it's been really crazy to see all of these different iterations and who's doing what.
You mentioned something briefly just about having good internet. One of the things we see here on the podcast is we interview all you pros as you're on the road during the season, and sometimes that means we're talking to somebody in a McDonald's. Sometimes we're talking to somebody in a hotel. What are you guys doing for internet that makes it what you think is good internet?
Yeah, so this has been Tyler's project for the off season because he games every night. That's his hobby. That's how he hangs out with his friends. And so it's very important to him that we have internet everywhere we go. And so the first thing we tried was the Starlink internet from SpaceX, right? And so it's a really good satellite internet. We actually got it when we were in Emporia, and it worked great because you have this big open sky. But then when we went to the Northeast and then down into the Charlotte area, we were camping in the woods and like no signal whatsoever. So the Starlink has worked really well for when we have an open sky, and then actually cellular internet has gotten a lot better. And so we actually have two internets. We have the Starlink, and then we have Verizon cellular internet. And so he usually will play games on the cellular because it doesn't get interrupted. So when Starlink switches from one satellite to another, there's like a little bit of interruption.
Sure.
And it's the kind of thing like I won't notice if I'm watching TV on it, but he will notice if he's playing games. So we keep most things on the Starlink, and then like the computer and the gaming stuff is on the Verizon.
And
I'm
I'll
sure
echo.
He's going to text me and tell me what part of that I got wrong.
No, I totally understand because with the Starlink, you need to have like I think it's a southwesterly view, open sky or something weird like that, and
yeah, I think it's a northern sky.
Is it northern sky? Yeah, and it's got a lot more latency because of the travel time to get to the first point, and then from there, as opposed to the Verizon, which hits the first tower, and then your first tower is always wired up hard, so. Depending on what he's playing, if it's one of the first-person shoot-'em-up games, every frame counts. You've got these people that get very into it. If you're playing something a little bit more casual, like Mario Golf, I don't think it matters as much.
No, it's funny. We played Mario Golf on the Verizon, and then he's been playing Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 on the Verizon, and then Mario Golf on the Starlink. But I mean, he's in rural Oklahoma right now and like having zero issues. But it's funny with the Starlink, like when we had the trees, we even went and bought like a flagpole and we like taped it to the top of the flagpole and like leaned it against the truck, trying to get it like high enough that we could actually get some signal. It didn't really work, but it looked pretty janky.
That's awesome.
And I'll just to follow up on that, when doing some commentary with the GK Pro guys, during the Throw Pink event. I had gone out to the campsite and talked quite a bit about it, and they were talking about using Starlink. They said largely it's been successful because that's, of course, one of my first questions is how are you getting all these, 4, 5, 6 gig files up to YouTube? And they said that Starlink, for the most part, had worked well for them. But hopefully these are the problems that are going to continue to fade in the next few years. But I've spent all too many nights outside of a library or a McDonald's trying to sit there and upload a video so that I could get it up the next morning.
Creeping.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that too. But it's
Yeah,
coming
we had
along.
a few times where I just dropped him off at a Starbucks so he could work, and then I had to, go practice and then go pick him up at the Starbucks. He kind of hated that though.
It's all part of the teamwork, though, to make it all happen.
Part of it. Yeah.
So a little team camaraderie, a little, like you said, getting to know one another. I thought I heard of a few of the plans, but what's kind of on the agenda, whether it's for the house or for content and such? What's kind of the game plan look like for you guys, and for how long?
So I've been here since Wednesday last week, so almost a week. And Saturday, which is when we filmed the team thing, was the only day that everybody was here. So like Paige was here earlier in the week, but she's in Thailand.
Yep, she's in Thailand.
Yeah. So we've still got most of the team here, but we've really just been like cranking out videos, or not cranking them out, but filming a lot of videos. So we filmed. We did like a building the bag for me. So like not an in the bag, because my bag's not 100% set, but just kind of talking about what molds I like, what I'm thinking about, and kind of how I'm approaching it. And then we did like kind of a player profile. I know tomorrow morning we're supposed to go film a practice round. So there's tons of content coming out. And that's just what they've done with me. They've been doing stuff with the whole team while we're all here. And so we're also going to have some videos of players together, like practice rounds, different team challenges. So there's going to be a ton of content coming out just with all of us. And then also like doing some like Instagram content. Yeah, commercials. Like I don't think I'm going to be in any of the commercials, but like some of the more veteran players have done commercials. And like even I've been filming some stuff for like my own Instagram, so I'm going to have some collaborative Pro Tip Tuesdays coming up, featuring some of the other team members. And then, in addition to the content, like being able to like build relationships with my teammates has been really, really fun, but also really valuable. Like I'm here trying to figure out like, what are the best forces to put in my bag? And then right there are like the best force throwers in the world at the moment, and they can kind of help. So like playing practice rounds with everybody, they've kind of been able to see, what my game is like and like what I'm throwing, how different things are flying for me, and kind of make suggestions on like what run of this mold should I look for, or even give me discs from their collection that they think would be really good for me. And so that's really helping to kind of expedite the process of learning this new lineup.
And when did you feel like you were really secure in the decision that you were going to be signing with Discraft and you had discs that you could go out and throw, maybe secretively in a field? I don't know. But when was that decision kind of made for you?
Yeah, so I decided kind of like, the decision was pretty much made back in early November. I actually played my last A tier of the year. I was going to Discraft, like having signed the contract and everything.
Okay.
And so kind of mid-November was when I first started throwing the discs. And it hasn't been as hard as I thought it would to find discs that I can like, kind of reconstruct my game around, because they do have such a good lineup of discs and the plastic is really like good quality. And also because they've been around a lot, like I said, I've got a whole team of people who know how this plastic beats in, who know how like they can look at a force and tell me what it's going to fly like now and in like a month. So I'm not having to like figure those things out myself, but it's been like, I'm not quite, I think, tournament ready, but like it's been actually easier than I thought it would be. Hasn't been that bad.
Was there anyone that, fell off their chair that was just blown away or shocked or surprised or complete disbelief, or any hate mail one way or another, or super crazy fan mail? Has there been any, wild reaction as to what your decision was?
I mean, there were definitely some trilogy fans who were sad that I left Dynamic Discs, but my fans are nice. You know, they're they're not mean. They just I had a lot of messages after, I said I was leaving DD that were like, "Oh, I'm sad you're leaving Trilogy, love the plat, and they were like, "But really, we want to see you do well." So like, it's mostly been maybe like sad kindness or like just super hype. I've had a lot of people who are just like really excited to watch me throw Discraft, and so that's been pretty cool.
I know I'm honestly excited because I follow you on Instagram as well, and I would love to see every couple weeks a kind of follow up on the developing the bag. Like what?
Yeah,
what
I
have you-
definitely.
as you go to a new course, like, oh, I'm off of the Las Vegas and now I'm going to Waco. What difference am I going to do? What am I putting in my bag? I found out after throwing this one that I really don't like this plastic or something along those lines. I'm looking forward to a lot of that.
I should definitely do some of that because my bag's even changed from like we filmed the building the bag video like Thursday, I think, and my bag's different today.
You're like, I got to reshoot it. Reshoot. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah, but I think it's good. And I mean, a lot of like the core of what I said in the video is true. It's just, trying out some like getting a flippier Raptor that'll go straight for my forehand, that kind of thing, kind of filling in the holes and having the team like able to give me discs that they don't throw, but that they have to see if it fits my game really well has been really helpful.
I'm looking right now at PDGA, and I'm seeing you are currently signed up for an event February 12th in Cedar Hill, Texas. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be your first event for the year? I mean, that's a full month away. Is that for sure going to be your first, or do you think something might sneak in before that?
Yeah, I think I want to give myself a full month to really start dialing in my bag. So basically I played Veterans Park Open, that was my last event, and up until this trip, I've been working on a couple little form changes that I've been wanting to make for a while. And so now kind of cut that off. We're happy with where the swing is. And so now it's turned into building a bag, getting to know the angles, getting to know the distances and the stabilities, and like really fully fleshing that out. So that's what the next month is going to look like. And then that B tier is going to basically serve as like a trial run before I head out to All Stars, just to see if there's anything I missed, or if, and also just to kind of get some of the competitive rust off, get like that initial, because even at a B tier, if it's the first tournament of the year, you feel a little bit of the nerves. So to get some of that kind of out of the way before I'm on camera.
And with today as well, the PDGA, I believe, new ratings update came out today, and we see you at, well, I'm sure you know, or don't you? Your rating?
I didn't even realize it came out today. I know it was last month. Did it change?
Somebody said they came out today. That's the only reason I was just repeating that. Well, yours didn't change on your end, but you're 964.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? And I know you said you don't necessarily set goals, but what could that look like in a year from now?
Yeah, here's a crazy stat for you. So I'm the number 9, I think, rated woman in the world, and I'm the lowest rated on this team.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of crazy, right?
You got work to do, girl.
I know. And I'm the only one who hasn't won anything yet.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of that. Like, I don't, no one's putting that pressure on me unless I let them, but like, there is a little bit of that. But I mean, I think what it shows is like, this is about what 30 ratings points higher than I was this time last year. So I think it shows that what I'm doing is working. And if I keep doing it, and keep iterating on my processes and whatnot, I think the win will come eventually. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's just going to be a lot of, keep working hard, keeping my head down and keep putting in the work, and then just like trusting that it's going to happen for me.
It may be an easier, cheesy question, but favorite event of 2022, what was that?
That's really hard. People have asked me this question a lot, so it's
okay. We can skip it.
Try not to give you the exact same answer,
no,
but I think I'm gonna say Preserve, just because that was one of the first tournaments where like really started making a lot of friends, kind of. OTB and then going into Preserve, because everybody was able to kind of camp together. Like Kale just lets us all camp at the course. And so, the way you don't get burnt out on tour is to like have friends and to like have fun outside of disc golf. And so like that was kind of the first weekend where I really was doing that, was like OTB and then like Preserve. So
okay, that makes sense.
I'll say it's a tie for that reason.
What then? Maybe I'll switch it up a little and then ask what's on the bucket list for this year. Where is either a site or an experience that you couldn't fit into the schedule last year that you want to make sure you hit up this year?
Yeah, so like I said, I've got a bunch of like off weeks kind of just built into the schedule. So a couple of those will be visiting home, but I know we really want to go to Yellowstone this year in between Portland and DDO, because that's kind of halfway point. We could take a weekend there. We may go back to Niagara Falls because that was really fun. I do want to go spend some time in Dayton, Ohio, hanging out with Blake and his family, kind of getting to know them a little bit more. And I want to see some more shows. I'm big into musicals. I want to go see some more shows with my friends. So now that I've got a little bit more financial stability, I'll get to kind of do that. So.
All right. So one of the final question is, what are the details of your contract? Can you share all those with us?
I actually made sure to ask Bob, like, if there's anything I'm not allowed to say. But yeah, I can give you kind of a general overview. So like, I'm getting a monthly salary. Now, it's nothing crazy. It's not Paige or Kristen money, but I'm very happy with it. I think it's a very fair value. It's going to create a lot of financial stability. So if I need to drop a tournament because I'm feeling burnt out, I could do that. I'm going to be fine.
Okay.
Or if I have a couple weekends in a row where I don't, play as well, maybe I cash a little lower, I'm not like hurting.
Okay.
So the salary basically covers travel expenses, gas and campgrounds and stuff. It's all going to be covered. And then I'll be getting royalties on the Tour Series disc. We've got the team website coming out, which I'll be getting royalties off of everything that's sold there. So what's great about it is like I've got that kind of like base level security, but a ton of potential to make a lot of money if I play really well and we move product.
I feel like that's becoming the most common philosophy among our contracts, which is, hey, here's a base. Your possibilities, your ceiling is endless if you move the product, if you're a good representative, and if people just really want to support you. And if you happen to win a few events, you might get some bonus discs thrown on top of that. It seems like that's a really popular. It kind of fits your mantra that you were talking about earlier of like kind of betting on yourself. If you're in control of your own destiny in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think it benefits both, me and Discraft really well, is because like if we do well together. But then like I'm not destitute if I have like a little rough patch, and then they're not tied up owing me all of this money and I'm not doing anything. So it's kind of like almost meritocracy based. It's like I have to do well to get paid, which I think is totally fair.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. Someone had asked on the board, well, they said signature putters, but you said you're likely putting with the Challenger SS. Is it going to be one Tour Series disc? That's what's usually on the table in your situation, right? In this case? Yeah,
so it'll be one Tour Series disc, but we'll do some other special runs of stuff, and that'll be available on the team site. So we've got a special run of something in the works. In fact, we were kind of texting back and forth about artwork just before I came on here. So there will be, a drop. I don't know when, but whenever we get the artwork figured out, I guess. But we're going to have the Tour Series disc that'll be available in stores everywhere. And then there's going to be the team website, which will have kind of whatever we decide we want to do, like whatever I think will sell, whatever we think will sell well, whatever I think I can promote will be something we can do with the website.
What's been either the most insightful or juiciest tidbit of information you've picked up and learned in the last few days being in that household? And it can get as detailed as you want on all the dirt on Hannah Macbeth, but as much as you want to dig down, what
you can talk trash about her cooking too. I've heard.
No, but what would you say?
She hasn't cooked for me. Well, Hannah hasn't cooked for me, first of all.
Well, what did you learn where you're like, huh? And it doesn't clearly. I'm not necessarily looking for dirt, but I mean, where you're like, huh? I had no idea that Anthony Barela has 3 arms. I don't know. Like,
oh, he does. You guessed it. Well, there you go. No, okay. I don't know. There was nothing I was like shocked by. Meeting everybody. It has been really cool, like getting to talk to people just like about how they approach the game, about how they practice. Like I've had a lot of good chats with like Missy about thinking about like putting practice and all of that and like mental game and talking about like the social media side of things and the business side of things and kind of learning like how other people think about those things. I don't, it's hard to give you like specifics, but it is a really cool group to just almost even be just like a fly on the wall with, because they have been doing this for so long and they've been doing this so well and they've been so successful with it. Everyone's just like a really good resource. So I'm just kind of trying to soak it all in and then, make friends too.
Yeah, well, I like you just said, even if it's just a fly on the wall, and listening to their experiences, but also when are they truly bending on Bob Giulio's ear, or or Mike or whomever, like how that is soaked up as like, oh yeah, that is a great idea. Let's try that here in 2023. This is great feedback as a team. Do you have any chicken-based clauses in your contract like Chris Dickerson does? Anything related to chicken?
Or beans like Ezra?
Yeah. Is there any?
I didn't know what you meant when you said chicken-based things. Like, why would I want to be paid with chickens? No, I don't really have anything weird.
I think Chris is. Chris has chicken in his. Yeah. Anyway,
I think he gets a monthly gift certificate to just a different chicken place.
Yeah, to whatever it might be. Some of the quirks over there.
Everyone's contract's different.
All right, yeah, Holyn, besides all of the team stuff that, of course, will be available and any signature discs that you ultimately decide on, what are some other ways that people can go out, follow, support? What are some of those things people should be doing to get in?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do is go follow my Instagram, Halls_17. Make sure it's _17, not _17_, because that's the fake account. And Instagram won't take it down. But yeah, go follow my Instagram. I post everything there. I post tips every week. And they're going to start having collabs with my teammates and that sort of thing. And then, yeah, I mean, the team site and stuff, I don't know when all of that's going to be up, but I'll be talking about it on my Instagram. So if you follow me there, that's the best place.
Yeah. What's the team website password? Because that's what pops up now when you go to the team website. It just says guest password.
Oh, really? I don't know. They don't let me. They don't tell me those things. They're just like, "Do you like this stamp?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
I don't know. I could go out and guess a few things. All right, Holyn. Is there anything else before we let you go here tonight? Anything you want to share? Floor is totally yours. Disc golf related or otherwise. Anything you want to share with us?
I mean, not really. I think this team's going to be really special this year. I think the fact that they got us all together here at the beginning to kind of really, let us build these relationships, build these relationships with the team manager and, kind of build that trust has been really great. Like, I really feel like, I can tell Bob, whatever, and, or propose ideas or tell him I don't like something and it's going to be received well. Like he, there's having that initial phone call with someone where they're like, if you need anything, let me know. And then there's actually showing someone that that's the way that you operate. And I really appreciate that they've made such a huge effort to kind of show me that I'm important and valued by them. I think that's really huge. And I feel very, very happy with my decision. So
excellent.
I'll leave it at that.
Well, before we let you go, I think it's fair to say, with so many things going on within disc golf and all of the successes and then the rumors that follow, it's fair to ask, is Simon at the house with you guys, and is he going to be your teammate?
Hey, Simon. No, I'm kidding. He's not here.
He's not there now, but he might have been there earlier, and he might be there later this week.
Haven't seen him.
Okay.
That's all.
We're just, we're internet sleuthing for everybody out there as well. Well, Holyn, congratulations. We're happy to hear that you're happy, and we're clearly looking forward to an exciting 2023. We know that, like you said, it feels like your ceiling is limitless, and we're looking forward to see what's gonna go on for you. And we wish you the best of luck. And thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Terry.
All right, see ya. Take care.
Holyn.
Holyn Handley, everybody, member of the elite team of Discraft. Congrats to her. Some people called that. Some people didn't. We saw Holyn a little bit. I feel like she was maybe one of the earlier people. Well, she said, I know, in her head, she had maybe had her mind made up. But I feel like she was one of the earlier announcements of the season of just saying, hey, I'm not going to be renewing with my current sponsor in Dynamic Discs, and then holding all the way off until what we saw and heard today.
To the big announcement, the big team announcement.
Yeah. So we wish her the best of luck, and looking forward to, like we said, what she can do here in 2023. I believe we've got more guests. I'm going to reach back out to Hannah here and make a confirmation. Clearly the setup works, which is great. Like we said, we could keep filtering, letting people slide right on in there and get prepared to talk to us. There's been additions to Team Discraft. I think that was the biggest news of the day. We talked to James Conrad, who yesterday made the announcement about his extension. Today, some additions, including Holyn, including Valerie Mondahano, who we saw added to the team. Congratulations to her.
Brody got a promotion to the elite team.
Brody with a promotion, and I think he's out gambling all of that promotion money in Vegas at the moment. So, of course, you got to always bet on black. And there's a gentleman who, at multiple times throughout this year, I may have bumped into a casino, and every single time he said he was betting on the disc golf guy, and he's joining us now. Of course, we're talking about Anthony Barela. AB, I mean, we're not on a boat on the Mississippi, but this is almost as cool, right? Oh, no, we got you muted. I think you got to, or you're muted,
he's
sorry.
Muted. Nothing's changed between now and
okay, now we got you, buddy.
There you go.
All good. All good.
There we go. Yeah.
All right, so I was saying that
muted it
this isn't
Muted it.
this isn't a boat on the Mississippi, but here we are. Congratulations, of course. And how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. We were just playing some Mario Kart. Everyone left to play pickleball, and I got left behind. I got the Smash Ball podcast.
Well,
there could be worse things. There could be worse.
Were you at least winning at Mario Kart? Is that why they quit playing?
Oh, yeah.
Beating everybody?
I won all 4 in a row.
Can't ask for anything.
Every Grand Prix I join, I win.
Who's the second best Mario Karter there tonight?
Definitely Corey Ellis.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. So, first of all, you really, it's fair to say you shocked the world in that we saw you make an announcement a few months ago, it feels like, after you'd won back-to-back events in Arizona. You said, it's bittersweet, I've won, but I'm moving on. And here you are with Team Discraft. What was some of that conversation like for you to switch over to Team Discraft?
It's definitely been talked about for the last few years, with Adam trying to get me on Team Discraft, but this year they really laid out a plan for me on Discraft, and it just made a lot more sense for me to make the switch now.
Okay. And fair to say, almost all contracts with Innova seem to be year to year, so just 1 year at a time. Yeah. You were in that situation, of course, a free agent. Was there back and forth between you and Innova? Because they see a lot of potential in you.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of negotiating, talking, and stuff like that. It was not an easy decision at all.
And did you do your own negotiating? Did you have somebody else do the negotiating for you?
Yeah, I was doing it and talking, getting advice from people and stuff like that. It wasn't just me, but yeah.
I think of two people who are very obviously influential in your life that know disc golf very well are your parents. Were they involved in some of that conversation as well?
Yeah, I would talk to them about offers and stuff like that and come to them for advice.
Now, I don't think I'm speaking out of pocket when I say Innova, it feels as if Innova, when presented with somebody saying, hey, I have another offer on the table, it feels like Innova often says, that's great. If that's best for you in your career, go do that. We're okay with that. But for them to kind of fight for you, what I feel like is more than most. What does that say about your game? What does that say about your potential?
I mean, definitely makes me feel like they wanted me to stay on the team more than they wanted me to leave. So that feels good, more than like other players in the past.
Was that a bargaining chip? Did that maybe even help raise your value as you were negotiating with Discraft? Because
a little bit, yeah, I'd say.
Make that money. Okay.
So what does your year look like now? I mean, you've signed on the elite team with Discraft. A lot of times we don't see you come in until a little bit later, or you pop in a new event here or there because of school and whatnot. What does this look like now? Are you full-time touring? Do you still have things to finish up?
Me and Adam are going to be on a full tour the whole season. We're going to hit every tournament. I think I'm only missing one elite series, and probably like a few of the silver series I probably won't play. But we're hitting every single elite series for the most part.
With you've been at Arizona State the last couple of years. Is that something that you are taking a break from, or are you still able to finish that out? How does that factor in?
I'll be able to finish that out with like, they have like sessions where you can take like half classes and like during half of the semester and half the quarter. So it's like super simple and easy to lay it out for like a path for me.
Sweet. And when will you graduate, and what will that degree be in?
It really just depends on the workload I have or the workload I want to take in. But I'm shooting for somewhere in 2024, probably spring, I think. I would hope.
Okay. And what are you studying, or have you declared a major and all that stuff? Finance. Okay.
Finance degree.
All right. So you should be.
He knows what to do with the money he's going to be getting
from the casino, and then he goes and argues with the guys at the. I know I've tossed around a few jokes, but it feels like more often than not, the casino seems to treat you well, and I'm not claiming you got a problem, or you need to be audited
it's
here.
It's not a problem if you're losing.
Exactly.
Yeah, me and Adam just love playing blackjack. So we just play for fun. We don't try to hit big. We'll play like $10 hands of blackjack just for fun. And stuff like that.
All right. Where was the best casino of 2022? Which one was it?
Definitely the one at Ledgestone. That was so much fun on the water.
Yes.
We saw you there.
Yes. No, wait, no, I wasn't there. I was sleeping.
You're never sleeping.
Oh yeah.
Yes. When you're out on the riverboat out there, which feels very weird. That's a whole other story, but it feels weird to go onto this boat that feels like it's a regular, attached structure, but you're actually technically floating on water. It just feels weird.
So we asked the same thing of Holyn. You're moving to new plastic, new discs. These are discs, in theory, you don't know nearly as well as your old bag. What have you been gravitating to? Watching the group that's there, watch Holyn throw is a different thing than watching Anthony Barela throw, because you are known as an elite distance thrower. You throw some of the furthest shots in the game. What can those guys tell you about the discs that maybe, who can tell you, no, Anthony, you need to throw this?
Yeah. Playing with like Adam and Macbeth and all them for the past few years, I know like what discs are good and like which runs of discs to get. But the new disc, the Venom, is what I'm going to be throwing the most by far. The new distance driver. It's super overstable, super controllable, and I've already fallen in love with it.
And it goes hand in hand with the logo up top with the snake and
Arizona, right?
Arizona only makes sense. I love all the tie-ins on this.
Except for nobody ever threw the effing Venom. Like
that's why it's a retooled.
It's like a completely different disc.
The new
they
resubmitted it to the PDG.
It's the same name,
Okay. I was gonna say, because
they feel completely different.
Okay. Because the old ones had a really, like, one of the largest rims you could ever have on the disc.
Weird.
Yeah, they were weird. and honestly, they weren't popular, so it's good to see and hear of a retooling. What are some of the other things that you're going to be, that are just like already in the bag, that you'll be using this year?
Captain's Raptor, love that a lot. Buzz, of course. Buzz has honestly opened like a new shot in my game. I didn't have that like mid-range shot like that. Like the rocks just don't quite fly as far as the buzz, and they don't. You can like pop a buzz hard, and I've like never had a mid-range that you can do that, and it'll just continue to go straight and won't dump. And then really like the Athena, Onyx, and then the nukes. Nukes go really far as well. Like they go further than the Venom, so I'll throw nukes. And then I have some forces in the bag too. I pretty much have my bag almost completely set up right now, so I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, it's probably been set up for a few years, just waiting for you. Just be like, this is going to be Anthony's.
Well,
Because, I mean, it's been years. There was rumors.
We got to set up. Yeah,
Go
go ahead.
I was going to say, there were rumors a while ago. I mean, when Macbeth moved over to Discraft, you were kind of always known as like a Macbeth protege. You were close with him.
Yeah.
And so the thought was right away, you know, okay, how long until Anthony goes to Discraft? And you, I don't want to say held off, but you stayed with Inna for many years after that and did school and whatnot. And now, you know, now you're going to be a full-time touring player. So it kind of just feels like it was for a lot of us who have been around long enough, you know, pre-COVID, it feels almost inevitable that at some point you were going to make this switch. But I know that's not necessarily the case depending on the different offers. So I feel like that bag has been waiting for quite a while, and Paul's just probably been making discs for you for the last year or two.
I don't know about that, but
but what I was going to maybe add on to that, and I guess you touched on it, was you being so close with Adam, you practicing, having practice rounds, touring, you're watching him throw a shot, and you know his bag probably as well as he does. And so this probably, out of all players, this probably was a relatively easy transition for you compared to Holyn, who maybe didn't have as much insight. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, of course. I definitely didn't have any issues like transferring, honestly. They sent me like boxes of discs, and I tried them all out, and like I already had an idea of what I wanted to throw, so I told them to send me like these things. And then the new disc, the Venom, is just like exactly what I've been wanting. So it was an easy fit.
You just mentioned you're pretty much hitting everything. Is there anything on the tour or in the country that you and Adam are like, yeah, we have to do this? It may or may not be golf related, but we're going to go fish here. We're going to go skydive here, whatever it is. Is there anything that's, kind of on the list of you guys still need to hit up?
That we still, I want to go to Europe with Adam. That's the thing that we're definitely like want to do, because I've never been there, and he went there last year and he loved it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go to Europe this year.
Okay. And that seems like that's becoming a more popular option and opportunity for a lot of our players, which is incredible because you're opening up to a whole new fan base, and obviously personally you get to enjoy it, but the fans get to see you for the first time in person.
Yeah, that's exciting.
We, speaking of Europe, we saw that Paul released a schedule. It feels like he's practically moving there for 2 months. You, on the other hand, I'd assume, are you going there for what we would expect, the 2 or 3 events back to back?
Yeah,
that's about it.
We'll play Sula Open and then the European Open.
Okay, all right. And then I assume also, in what, a week or so, will this be the official debut in terms of a tournament? Shelly Sharp next week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, Adam are playing that.
Is there going to be any? Wow, I'm already excited for the filming of this.
Drew, Aaron Gossage is playing. I don't know who else is on the list.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. We've got yourself, highest rated at 1038. Drew Gibson, Kale Leviska is now in. Adam Hammis. Aaron Gossage, Andrew Marweed, and that team captain feller, Paul Ulibarri. So to name a few.
So you officially took Paul Ulibarri's spot on the elite team, right? You just booted him?
Ouch.
You came in and said, get out, Paul.
Ouch.
Yep, he gave it up for me.
So, that's not nearly as much fun as just telling him, like, you booted him. Like, sorry, old man. The youth is coming in.
Is there a possibility, if we play into your stereotype, is there a possibility to see you break a world record, distance record?
Like to go to the desert and try to break it?
Yeah, something like that. Or is that even, maybe better question, because I don't know when that's going to get scheduled, is that even a thought of yours? Do you care about something like having that opportunity to say, hey, I want to go compete if given the chance?
I mean, if they brought back Big D in the desert, I would probably go to it just for fun. But like, it hasn't even crossed my mind to go and try to break it. It seems like impossible, honestly.
Yeah.
The way
Okay.
he did it and like the conditions, it just doesn't seem possible.
Okay. Okay. It's clearly that's something, one of the tools that you're so well known for. Wow, I could spit that out. Is the big distance? Is there anything, learning new plastic and having maybe a little bit different practice routine and regimen? Is there anything else that you're really concerned about tweaking in your game or fixing or addressing right now? Now that you have some new plastic and a fresh start.
Definitely getting new putters is like giving me more confidence on the green. So I'm super excited for that. Been working on my putting a lot, just trying to fine tune the perfect plastic that I want in the putter. And I think I just got that in yesterday, actually. The exact putter I'm going to be using.
And that is
What gravitating
It's
towards?
it's a CT Focus with like a rubber blend.
okay.
So yeah,
CT Focus with a rubber blend. All right, all right.
something
Because
like
you
that,
previously putted with was it?
yeah. KC Wales.
They were whales. Okay, I was thinking
Yeah.
aviars, but whales. Okay. What do you love about that new putter? Or seemingly right now that you love about that putter, the CT Focus.
It just like flies the most similar to what I've been used to for the past few years of the whale. So it's like an easy transition. And I've tried out some other ones and like it just feels awkward in my hand for right now. And I'm just like trying to get like the feeling that I'm used to, honestly, at this point.
Okay. How nice is it that, we talked to Holyn, who's going to play one of her first events in Texas, somewhere she's lived and whatever, and maybe get a little bit more comfortable. How nice is it that your first few events, Arizona offers up, three events in the first couple months of the season?
You've been playing pretty well in Arizona lately.
Yeah. How good does that feel?
Dropped in 1100 rated round.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to play at Vista because all we can do in the winter is play there. So just play there every day. And now that we finally announced it, I can go there and just play every day and not worry about people seeing what I'm throwing instead of going to the fields and stuff.
And that was
Yeah.
going to be a follow-up. I think of the space and the green space that's available in Arizona. There's not necessarily a ton. And so have you been doing just that? You have to go find a soccer field somewhere so that, somebody with their Bushnell isn't trying to spot dial you in and find out that you're throwing other plastic. Has it been tough to hide?
Oh yeah, it's been super hard because like all the soccer fields are taken all day long because it's nice weather in Arizona right now, so they're all playing soccer. So I just had to find this like wide open field next to the Cubs stadium, and I've just been throwing there every day.
When do you feel like this decision was kind of finalized for you?
It's been a while. Definitely before. I think before I played those last two tournaments was like when it was super finalized.
Okay. And so did it feel, explain, you played very well, obviously, as Johnny just mentioned, you win the events. Does that feel kind of weird? I mean, I appreciate you fulfilling your contract obligations, but does it feel kind of weird to win knowing you're likely going to a different team?
I mean, it felt honestly great because it was like good closure. Like knowing that my last two tournaments with Innovo were I averaged like 1080 or something, which was definitely was a good send off, I'd say.
What are your parents? Will this impact? I mean, I see how Pete and Paul Ulibarri have switched up some plastics throughout the years, depending on his sponsorship. Paul's kind of influences the rest. What about your parents? Will there be any switching or adjusting for them?
No, I don't think so. They've had their bags. They don't have any reason to switch. But I'm definitely gonna get the Venom into their hands. Just that's about it.
Okay. What's been the silliest thing? I'll use that term in air quotes. Silliest thing that's gone down at that house in the last few days.
I don't even know, honestly. I've never played pickleball before, and then I've played like 6 days in a row this week for like 3 hours each time.
So
all these guys want to do is play pickleball. It's hilarious.
How good are you?
It's really fun. I mean, For how much experience I have, I think I'm pretty good.
I would think you'd pick up on it. You're obviously, you know, your extremities, your arms, and being a little bit taller doesn't hurt there, and you're naturally athletic and skilled. I would think you'd pick up on it pretty quickly. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Who's the best pickleballer right now at the house?
This might hurt a few people's feelings, but Aaron Gossage just beat Paul in a one-on-one the other day. So I would think I think Aaron Gossage might be the best one-on-one guy, but Paul's probably technically the best, like overall, I'd say.
Okay.
So a little sweet revenge for Aaron.
Right? Yeah, we ain't on hole 16 anymore. Suck it.
There ain't no water here.
All right. So the better question is, who's the worst pickleballer at the house?
I don't even know. We're all pretty good. We all picked it up pretty easily.
You can say Bob. It's okay.
Nah, Bob's pretty good. He can't beat me though, but he's pretty good.
Okay. How much longer? I mean, I was gonna say how much longer you're gonna be there, but you've got Arizona weather to get back to, so it's probably not that big of a deal. But how much longer are you gonna be there?
We're leaving on the 12th, so tomorrow's our last day here.
Okay. And we see that Wysocki obviously has moved into the neighborhood officially. I know he's kind of been there for the last few years. Is Adam going to be heading back that direction as well, probably?
He's ice fishing right now, Adam Hammond.
Okay. No, he's here.
No,
he was ice fishing like a few days ago. I saw on Instagram.
But you guys are going to journey back or no?
Yeah, he came to Arizona for my birthday on the 4th, and then we flew out here, and then we're flying back together, and he's going to stay there the whole time until we go on tour.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. What are you guys going to be touring in? I've seen how you guys roll. Sometimes it's not always the most efficient, or comfortable. What's the plan this year?
It's pretty efficient, but we got Adam just bought a brand new car, a Ford Expedition XL, so we got plenty of room now.
Okay.
We used to try to jam ourselves into the Ford Focus and my little Tucson, but now we got this big car where we can finally fit everything comfortably.
And with that, Airbnbs, houses, friends, hotels, is that kind of the strategy?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're hoping for this year.
Okay.
We're definitely not going to sleep in the backseat of that thing together.
I know
rule anything out.
I know Adam's obviously, an outdoorsman, a true Wisconsinite at heart in every possible way, and so I see him maybe occasionally in a tent or something. I don't pick you as much of a tent camper.
You'd be surprised, Terry. I grew up in a hunting family.
Okay. Okay. Well, then you're right. You that is a little bit surprising to me, which is awesome. No judgment. Just I wouldn't have guessed that.
No, just.
If people want to go out and support you, or follow you, and follow your journey, what are the best ways they can go about that right now?
Instagram, Anthony Barela 11, and then my YouTube channel, me and Adam are going to film a video tomorrow, and then I'm going to start filming more there because I got a tripod for my birthday. So I'm finally going to start filming stuff.
What could people expect on the channel? Like what are you going like?
Gambling tips?
No.
No.
Blackjack tips.
What's like what do you feel like is the type of content? Because we have so many people doing so many different things. What do you think your sweet spot's going to be with content?
Honestly, just like casual, like day in the life, like literally just me, just being me, I guess, in the camera. Like, have you seen some of my other videos me and my girlfriend were filming? It was just stupid things, stupid jokes, and just messing around. And that's all there is to expect.
Okay. That's obviously can be very entertaining.
I mean, I'm not going to be like a try hard on there. Like, I don't know how to like do all that stuff on YouTube yet. So still trying to figure that out.
Awesome. Now, speaking of your girlfriend, you guys have been dating for at least a minute that I can recall seeing on your socials. Is she going to be on the tour, jumping in or out, or because that's got to put strain on any relationship when you're gone that much?
Yeah, I'll get her out there for a few of the events for sure.
Okay, awesome. But not necessarily full time. She won't be gaming in the background like Holyn's significant other. She was selling us in the camper. No. Okay, a little different approach. Excellent.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us before we let you go here tonight?
Stay tuned for Terry Miller's coverage of the Shelley Sharp Memorial.
Damn, like a pro.
Wow.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well,
he'll be doing commentary soon with you.
Yeah, he will. Anthony, seriously, it's been incredible. I saw some videos and pictures I have of you. I posted one from the 2014 Worlds, where you were quite the youngster back in 2014, of course. And it seriously has been an honor to watch you grow into the not only the superstar, but the gentleman and the young man that you are. It's been awesome, and clearly a highlight of Arizona and Arizona disc golf. I know the entire state is so incredibly proud of you, and everybody that talks about Arizona disc golf, you're the first person that then gets mentioned alongside of it, and it's been a pleasure watching you all these years.
Yeah.
We wish you the best of luck in 2023. This is another chapter in the Anthony Barela book, and we're looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Terry. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks
Take
a lot,
care.
Anthony.
We'll see you next week at the Shelley Sharp, as you said. Anthony Barela.
Yes,
sir. Almost like I paid the man, but I didn't. He queued that up perfectly.
Listen, I just want everyone to know I beat that kid once. He was like 13 at the Memorial, but I beat him. Not by much.
Did you, though?
I think I did.
I don't know. I'll look it up.
I don't know for sure.
No, you did finish fifth.
I took fifth, and I
You
think he
took
took like
fifth.
seventh or eighth. Gibson beat me, I believe.
We'll take a look at it. That's actually
But I took down. I'm fairly certain.
If there's a chance for you to hang your hat on this one, what year would you have guessed this was?
2013.
Well, he was playing open. Okay, so by the 2013 would have made more sense. He was playing M Worlds in 2014, where I posted that picture. I see a 16th place finish from him.
There it is. See what I'm talking about?
The BL, as we like to say. He's officially on your bitch list.
He's on my list.
You beat him.
I mean, granted, that was at 2013, so that was 10 years ago. So he was like 13.
Yes.
I think I actually played around with him, and it was.
That's before he was as tall as you?
Correct. I think he was only like 5'9" at that point, or 5'10", and he's one of my favorite people to watch in general. But I do, and I said this before, remember that particular event. We'd finish up at Fountain. He would just go over to where hole 16, 17, whatever was over there at the time, and just crush discs. And he'd run and get them and throw them back and forth. And people are cheering for him and just giving him plastic to throw for fun because they love to watch this kid. And he was, again, I mean, he's what? He's 22 right now?
Yep.
Yeah, so
22, 23.
Yeah, I think he was 13 at the time or something. And he's just throwing these discs 450, 500. And
no big deal.
No, it was no big deal. I remember shaking my head and being like,
yeah,
like, Jesus, kid, like, chill out.
Yeah. Well, man, as we dip back into the Wayback Machine for the 25th annual Memorial Championship back in 2013, 10 years ago, Drew Gibson, second in advanced.
I played with him a couple of rounds.
Seth Cook, Ron Arena in time for third. Johnny V right there, fifth place. Nick Hansen, of course, your champion of that. Everyone, I'm sure, remembers advanced champion from that 2013 madness.
Scroll up once. Let me see something.
Oh, we're going to see some others on here. Ray Hill, who we know from the Midwest. Peter McBride.
Hey, actually, if you keep scrolling down, I think Zach Melton's on that list somewhere.
Jacob Rozak, who I think just is in sponsorship conversations. We've seen him out there on the tour. Is this the Sam Anderson I'm thinking of? Nope, it's a different one. Who else did you beat? This is incredible.
It's embarrassing, you people.
No, yeah, this is looking for some others that we reckon. Mike Jewell, who we had on the show last week. Oh my God, how embarrassing for him as you destroyed him. And he finished in 55th place. Jason Sanfilippo from Wisconsin. I mean,
maybe
you had him
was
beat
on that list.
Curtis Manahan. His brother's on the board tonight. You beat Curtis. Yeah, you would have beaten Bob, I'm sure. We'll just assume that. Mike Wagner, one of the top dogs at Discraft. You beat him. Where's your sponsorship?
I should be. I mean, I'm not asking.
Where's your Anthony Barela deal tonight?
I'm not asking for elite level sponsorship, but I'm just saying tour team.
You'd like them to pick up your phone call. At least.
I would just yes, please return my calls.
Let's-
I've been calling since 2013, and you still have not returned my
Oh
calls.
yes. Oh, so many greats here. So that was yes, folks, the Advanced Division at the Memorial 2013.
Yeah.
Those were the days, Johnny.
I had a chance to win that.
Anthony Barela
I really
tied Peter McBeth in 16th place. Matt House.
Peter McBride, not Peter McBeth.
Oh, sorry. You would have beat him too if he would have just played advanced. McBeth. Yeah, I think he might have won open, but you would have beat him if he played advanced.
No.
I don't know. Just trying to help you out here.
Thanks, though.
All right. Holy cow. What a night it's been. Of course, thank you so much to all three.
Can I just put this freeze frame up? I've got a freeze frame on my other screen of just Hannah McBeth and her new glasses closing down the system. I won't. I'll be nice.
Yes, our official media coordinator over there at the house tonight in Hannah McBeth, making sure everything was all lined up and ready to go. Sincerely do appreciate her effort. I know she's got podcasts to film with Christine and the party and all that stuff, but also was very gracious and kind to help get things organized and orchestrated for tonight.
The scariest thing to me that I heard tonight was Holyn Handley saying she's getting more distance out of these discs.
Yeah.
Honestly, thinking about what the rest of the competition must be thinking, like, you didn't need any more distance.
Yeah.
So that's, she had the, what's the dumb name they're calling it? Her albatross, the albatross.
Yeah.
Her albatross over in Ledgestone. And just to think that if she's getting even closer on that first shot, it's a scary thought. Or Anthony Barela throwing further. I don't know if he didn't necessarily say that, but just how much he's seeming to like these discs and how far they go. It's just gross. It's just these players don't need this extra distance, Terry.
Oh,
but they're getting it.
No comments.
Does
on
Discraft
the extra D?
Do you feel, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, top to bottom for their top tier team have the best team?
No, I mean, of course,
hard to say.
Yeah, we could all, everybody could argue as to, how stacked or how strong any given team is. We have seen a large grouping, plethora, a slew of people have, of course, joined Team Discraft in making it a very powerful and impactful team over these last few years. They've very much been investing in a lot of these players, and we're seeing that they're drawing in newer players to this day. Do you want to say it's the most powerful? I mean, here's what has been said quite a bit. When we're seeing a few people leave, either it's dynamic or have left Innova or whatever, everyone's saying, what's going on? What's wrong with that place? There are some people like a Simon Lizotte who has very explicitly said nothing was wrong. I got made an offer. Rumors had it. The offer was even matched, or was being it was rumored to have been matched, and he still said, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for something new and something different. And I think there's a little bit of all of that plays in, and sometimes there's clearly friendships that have largely come into play.
Sure.
And I cannot say this enough. These people are friends off the course, and it matters nothing what their friends are throwing in terms of if they're going to remain friends with them. However, when you're friends with someone that's playing for a different sponsor, could there be an influence to join one team or another? Clearly that is happening. And we see and have seen, as of late, largely at Discraft. You think of someone like Paige Pierce, who went to that team, and then Missy Gannon also came to that team when Missy had been at the same place Paige was at one point. You see Paul and a few of the people that he's very close with, that he's traveled with, or that he associates with often, that also then have come to that team. And Anthony said it himself just now. Someone like his best friend and Adam Hammis, who's been on that team for a few years, it feels like it's a relatively easy thing. Now, that's not to say they weren't going to remain best friends if they both played for different teams, but sometimes that influence, I think, can be a little bit helpful.
It's funny to me to think of how much the Discraft team was almost an afterthought, just even the year before Paul made the transition, because you had Nate Doss, who was the head of the team and the highlight player, and we knew he was wrapping up. Everyone kind of knew that his vision was off the course into the brewery at that point. Like, it was just a matter of time for him to make that transition. And it's it's amazing to see what one player like a Paul McBeth can do for your team. Because Paul was the spark.
Partially, but I think not only just maybe from a personality perspective, but I think going to a place like going to Discraft, having success there in his very first year, and then also opening up the eyes to so many more buyers buying Discraft, which then allows,
I was going to say,
more capital to
much like
MVP
and James Conrad, Discraft making a boatload of money off of Paul McBeth helped them expand their team and continue to make those pushes that then continues to expand the team, and it's a cycle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either way, congratulations to Discraft, but to the new players on the team, I'm excited. Corey Ellis moving up to the elite team, and it sounds like the elite Mario Kart team.
Yeah.
So, which is really the more important.
I can tell Anthony's a little younger when I say who's the worst player. I don't think you're supposed to answer that one, but I love that he did. So I appreciate that. Clearly, no shortage of competition, though, taking place over at the house. So let's read a few of let's talk about anything else that we've seen in terms of player moves, and then we'll shut down and we can jump into an after show. But in terms of actual contracts, player moving, and details, you just mentioned it. I'll still recap them. Corey Ellis is with a 2-year extension, and as part of Discraft. Aaron Gossage, a 1-year extension through 2023. Holyn Handley, as we talked to her, 1 year through 2023. Brody is a 2-year extension, and I know here on the show we talked about his message or his post that he made about trying out new plastic. Was he just fanning the flames of the internet rumor mill? I can appreciate it. I got no problem with that.
No, I don't have a problem with it.
So, but clearly, with Discraft now for the 2 years. Conrad for the 4 years. Maria Oliva also was very much in the news in the last couple days with saying that she's going to be with Infinite.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's a split sponsorship between Thought Space
and Infinite. Yes.
So
we're seeing that. Rebecca Cox has a 1-year extension through 2023 with Latitude, as does Silver. Gavin Babcock, was that after our show?
That was
last
after
week?
our show. I think it
Holy
was
cow.
like Wednesday or Thursday.
Where have we been?
Gavin announced that he is signing with Discmania. It was almost like right after Simon announced his leaving that Gavin announced he was joining the team.
I think it was the reverse, but either
was
way.
it?
Yeah, it was.
It was
Gavin, I believe, on Friday.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was Gavin on Friday, and then Saturday, we saw the announcements, which we can talk more about in a moment. And then Friday, I believe it was, there was a live signing and showing down at Mint Dis in Texas that Mason Ford has officially signed for 2 years with Mint Dis.
A huge prop to Mint Discs, because I loved their teaser video, the Texas teaser video. That's how I want to see a lot. The one thing that and I've said it 1,000 times, these early season announcements are great, but it feels like you're missing striking while the iron's hot. Like, I want those. If imagine the amount of discs, not that they're not going to sell anyway, Anthony Barela could be selling right now of those new Venoms. Right now, the big announcement, the logo, the excitement. I don't think we're going to have a problem selling them, but I would love to have even a limited run of something for these big announcements. But I know it's difficult. There's a lot of logistics involved, signings and old contracts and whatnot. But
I have collectible, original, OG Venoms.
nobody wants them.
No, you want them now.
No, they don't.
No, you want one now. I have them. Some D.
Yeah, but you're not even going to sell them.
I might have enough where I could let a few go. Because they didn't sell.
I know. Nobody wanted them
They
then.
didn't sell back in the day. So I do have some D Venoms. In fact, I even know right kind of the general area where they're located because I was like, they're yellow. Yeah, they were not
Secretly pull them out of Barela's bag at the next event and put in those
Swap.
old ones. See what he does. Like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But yes, anyway, back to Mint Disc. I think what the somewhat of a curveball for people were that, and again, this is they're about to be married in a few days. Valerie and Mason. When we saw the announcement for Mason on Friday for Mint Disc, I think there was a lot of foregone conclusion, like, oh, well, she's clearly signing with Mint, and it'll just be on a different day.
No, they took my advice. Dual sponsorship, separate.
Why doesn't everyone listen to you?
I don't know. I've been saying
You finished
it for
fifth
years.
at the Memorial, for God's sakes, in 2013. They should be listening to you.
I've been saying it for years. Split up your sponsorships, couples.
Bang for your buck.
That's right.
So
have that backup.
Anyway, yes, Valerie, of course, with Discraft, and Mason with Mint Disc. I think that's pretty much all of them that we saw since last week. I might be missing a few. Cece on the Underground team, she let me know that she was still going to be on the Underground team for Discraft. So Cece Crusher, good to see you out there these last couple of years. I wish you the best of luck as well here in 2023 as she's renewed.
So really the two big names and that we don't know where they're going yet is obviously Simon Lizotte. All the ideas is MVP, and Paige Shue. She has not been announced.
Yeah, she had an announcement
that. Go ahead.
Just that she has locked into a bag sponsorship.
Yes.
Obviously not a disc, but I think one would have expected maybe to see a disc sponsorship, maybe even prior to the bag. She also announced that she's going to be with Squatch, who Holyn was referencing earlier.
Correct. There were a lot of rumors that she was going to go to Discraft, and but she's
and Lone Star,
and I heard Clash at one point.
DGA.
So I'm really curious to see where Paige Shue ends up now with her new sponsorship. I think she's kind of the last puzzle piece of the year, if all the rumors about Simon are true. And if it's does she make? It seems like a lot of these teams have announced their elite teams, so maybe she's not on an elite team. Maybe she's on a tour team or whatever. I just say elite because it's the high level, but maybe she's not one of the top tier teams. Maybe she's a second tier team for the first year, coming back off of travel or whatnot. I'm really interested to see where she goes. Yeah,
and as Hype Man says that on the board, Infinite. There's just a lot of possibilities. Yeah. I know that we've seen a very I'll call it aggressive. I feel like a very aggressive approach by the joined team of Infinite and Thought Space in who that they've picked up. Obviously, being Thomas Gilbert, being one of the earlier announcements that we saw this year.
They still have Eric Oakley. They still have Dave Felberg.
Yeah, and now with the combined, they have Maria Oliva. They have the combined in James Proctor. So yeah, we'll see how things continue to shake out. And real quick to put a bow on the idea, I saw some post. In fact, I think just before coming over here that Paige and Alyssa have landed in Thailand. They are safely have touched ground over there. They're doing a tourist adventure, so to speak, where they've aligned with other disc golfers, and so they had done some of their photo shoots in Florida, and then they took off. They've already landed and consumed some food in Thailand, which she said is one of her most exciting meals and places to eat. So we wish them safe travels. And speaking of Thailand, also in a few weeks when I venture over there, Philo Brathwaite is apparently going to be going back. So every time I've been to Thailand, I've seen Philo there, and looking forward to him being yet another one that's been there. Shasta Chris continues to tour around various parts of Thailand. I know Scott Stokely and his significant other have been in Cambodia, I think, and Singapore, and they're traveling all around. So some of our players really taking advantage of going out and taking in some of these other countries during our off season, which is absolutely awesome. All right, Johnny, we ready to close out the regular show here? Is that what I'm thinking?
Okay, Terry, if that's what you're thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. We'll have other things. There's a ton of other probably legitimate disc golf news and details to talk about, but we'll do that in the after show tonight, and we'll see where that goes. So we, of course, have to thank James Conrad, along with Holyn Handley, Anthony Barela, all of them, and one of our main coordinators in all of that. Big shout out to Hannah Macbeth, along with the Discraft crew that graciously gave up some of their time here on Tuesday night to join us to step inside the Smashbox. Looking forward to an incredible 2023 season. All these teams gearing up, head-to-head battle. Should be awesome. For Johnny V, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. That's been podcast 437. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for your after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast After Show.
You threw me for a loop because you didn't say the number.
437. We're here. It's the After Show, and if you're new here, which there's a chance you are.
This might be the earliest after show we've done in months.
Not only an early after show, but we had a very, very sizable turnout for our regular show tonight. Understandably so when you're throwing together all these superstars that graciously joined us. But if you're new here, the after show is a moment or a few hours worth of us going on and on about things that may or may not be on the topic of disc golf. Often they have some tangent to disc golf, but we sometimes can also get off the rails and, believe it or not, talk about anything non-disc golf related. Usually steering pretty clear of religion and politics still, but outside of that, anything is fair game. And we certainly invite you to join us on the YouTube chat. That's usually the best way to make a post. You can on Facebook. It's a little easier and more, easier way to digest if you throw it into the YouTube chat. And then later, maybe the best part of the after show, after all of our rambling, we get something together, we load up our Patreon supporters, and then we randomly pull a name out of our Patreon supporters, and we send out free stuff.
Yeah, so if you're a first-time viewer here, I know there were a lot of people tonight. Someone had said like we had like in the 500s viewing tonight. This is what it's like every week. Guests upon guests upon guests.
Yep, all the biggest names.
And we give away something every week. If you want to go to smashbox.tv/weekly giveaways, you can be eligible to win this disc in a box. Not disc in a box.
No. Well, there's discs in a box.
There's discs in a box. It's from
But
Discmember.
I've got to copyright it, damn it.
You do. So we do different giveaways, but this week we're going to give away a Discmember box. And what this is they're a supporter of Smashbox TV. And for $25 a month, you can get on their list or on their subscription model. And you get a mystery disc along with a bunch of other stuff in here. It feels kind of patty to me this week. So
a little extra padding. I know how the feeling.
Maybe a towel, maybe a T-shirt.
I've got 19 T-shirts on right now. I'm all padded
That's
up.
Weird and creepy, Terry, but okay. It's strange.
So all you have to do, if you want to be eligible for that, is like you said, you can go to smashbox.tv/weekly giveaways, or
The easier way.
the much more logical way is to head over to patreon.com/smashboxtv and become a supporter at any level, and that automatically enters you in and week out. So
yeah, so thanks to the couple new supporters we had this week. It's much appreciated. Obviously, if you like what we're doing here and you feel like throwing us a shekel or a quid or whatever your local...
if you bought.
Yeah, if you bought, whatever your local
Hopefully a
denomination
few
or
hundred bought at
currency is, please, by all means, Smashbox TV on Patreon.
All right. Well, so welcome in. Of course, fair or not, and I think it's fair considering, but Simon Lizotte and a departure from Discmania has very much dominated the disc golf news feeds for the last 3 days now.
Up until
since
today,
Saturday.
Yeah, up until today. I mean, it's still doing a little bit, but up until today when Discraft announced their elite team with their elite team video. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to recap on in the middle of the night, actually, on Saturday night, what would have been Saturday night our time, or Friday night into Saturday morning, there was a post that was made to the website, and I don't know if it was just within. Yeah, it was the worldwide website. It wasn't the website that was geared specifically just to Europe, and it basically had announced Simon's departure. And within that, there was a very nice write-up in there talking about Simon Lizotte is in fact going to be leaving Discmania. A few hours later, when you woke up or stayed up or whatever you did, a few hours later, there was not only a video by Discmania, but then also Simon Lizotte with a video of his own. And we talked about it in the regular show, that got all the way up to either number 14 or number 15 in trending on YouTube, because it was receiving so much viewership in such a short span, and obviously the chatter that was going on around it, that it was trending on YouTube, which may not seem like a big deal, but if you're a content creator and you think about something either going viral or nearly viral, or something that has a significant impact very quickly, when you're trending on YouTube, that's not an accident. Something's really going on when it does.
Just think of how many views we're going to get when he comes on the show live and announces his next sponsor.
Yes,
Simon.
Which he will be doing. Right, Simon? We talked about this, Simon. Anyway, largely, I was able, I don't want to say jump on it, but it was nothing more than a coincidence that this news had dropped at roughly 2 a.m. Central Time on Friday night into Saturday morning. I happened to be home, and it had dropped, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, that's crazy news. It's official. And, well, I could talk about this maybe in the morning, or I could just talk about it now. So I got a few things together, went live, and we had a very healthy crowd. I assume most of them of the European contingency, and kind of talked through what we just processed, and seeing that Simon had left, not making any indication as to where he's going. He still has not made any indication. The internet super sleuths are at a new level. And I will give just one example of this.
I've seen a lot of silly things.
One example that has a hint of legitimacy to it, but boy, oh boy. Someone had messaged me saying when he put his bag away, he then released a video playing his last round with Discmania.
I saw this.
Rarely do I watch stuff like that or any of it, but I did watch that. At the very end of the video, someone had messaged me saying they saw him put his bag into his closet. I think
closet or trunk?
His closet
Okay.
at his house.
Yep.
I think I don't know if he hung up a shirt. I think there was a shirt already hanging there. One of the two. And the shirt had a Nike swoosh symbol on it. So they were convinced he was getting sponsored by Nike.
Oh, because I saw where he put his disc into his trunk, and there was a disc in his trunk that looked like a dartboard. And someone had pointed then to a online reseller who does custom dies and like, oh, look, here's an Envy with this custom stamp on it.
Oh.
But it turns out Simon saw that as well and said, no, it's the same stamp and the same dyer, but it's a metal flake something or other, whatever. So dispelling that particular thing. So there's a lot of people out there.
Of course, and I can appreciate.
There's a picture of Casey that Casey White took of Simon in front of an MVP basket, like with his Discmania shirt. Like it just happens to be,
He's playing Maple Hill where
exactly. So
every basket is an MVP basket.
Exactly. So, I mean, honestly, anything.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I certainly appreciate the links. Clearly, some people are being a little bit funny and facetious. Some people are thinking they're truly discovering, making some wild discoveries. Nonetheless, it has been very entertaining. Part of the follow-up to it, though, was the fact that there was this conversation about discs that the Doombird 4 specifically, a signature series disc for Simon that comes out in a very limited release, just like we've seen Cloud Breakers and so on and so forth that Discmania has done. There was a little hubbub as to, well, wait, is this a last cash grab, to use the exact phrasing you read a lot? Was this something Simon was obligated to do? Was this something Simon volunteered to do? How many more are going to be produced? As recently as a few hours ago, someone said, wait a minute, I've seen an alert saying that more are going to be made, even after they said there's only so many that are coming over on a boat right now. So there's a lot of conversation around those and I don't know.
Here's what I'll say. A couple scenarios. If it's a quote-unquote cash grab from Discmania, I don't care. Simon seems to have promoted it, so it seems to be okay with him.
Sure.
If it's I don't know if Simon gets a cut of these discs, even after he's leaving, depending on what's going on. If so, good for him. I don't really honestly care any scenarios on this. I think that odds are.
Sounds like you have a line to the Doombirds.
I do not. In fact, I heard that the pre-sale sold out and that they are now waiting because retailers apparently aren't getting this.
Correct. Yeah. This was yesterday.
Yep. And now there's still going to be another drop later. Come March or something, February or March is what I heard on the Discmania website, not at retailers though. I don't know how. Again, I'm not a disc collector, so I don't know how accurate this is. All I heard is that they went on sale, they basically sold out relatively fast, and I'm assuming Terry Miller got his, and that I had heard there will be one more drop on the Discmania site, but that retailers were a little upset that they weren't getting. Some retailers were upset that they weren't getting some. I don't know the details. Maybe, Simon made this decision and they stopped the run. They were like, all right, cool. Well, this is what we get and this is what we get. But I don't know, whatever. You know what? Simon has made Discmania a lot of money. He helped build that company. I truly believe that. I think without Simon, I do not believe Discmania would be where they are. And so whatever Discmania does, and as long as Simon's cool with it, I think we need to be cool with it.
I don't know. That seems a little bit nice.
That's what I'm known for. My niceness.
Some Zero String says, Terry, have you ever not been able to purchase a disc you wanted? Yeah. I think there was once.
There's been a few times.
Yeah, no, there's occasionally some drops that will have a limited capability or opportunity to get them. Obviously, with the fact that I travel as much as I do, there is certainly been times where something may come out, and I'm on a plane at 10 in the morning when it releases, and even if I did pay for the plane internet, we all know how good that is, or maybe we don't, but it's terrible, is the answer. And so I'm not sure that would even be a successful option in that particular case. So, yeah, there's been a few times. I guess I'm blessed in the fact that I often will have good trade bait or material. So if I did miss a very limited run of something, there may be something else that was otherwise limited that I might be able to trade for if I really feel like I needed it. But I certainly am not crying over anything if I don't get my hands on any particular disc. But I did get Doombird Force.
How many?
There was a limit of 5.
Okay. How many did you get?
There was a limit of 5.
Okay.
I didn't see any fine print as to if the limit was 5 per household, per person. And this was a very legitimate scenario. I knew somebody else that wanted 5 that couldn't order them. Where are you drawing, and this might be a question for a Discmania rep, but where are you drawing the line as to buying them? Is it a different address? Is it a different name at the same address? Like a good friend of ours wanted 5 of them, and I purchased them with my credit card because I didn't have his information, nor would I want it. I purchased them and sent them appropriately to his house as he wanted them as well. I feel, I mean, that's as legitimate as it gets.
Yeah, I think.
Where do you draw the line? I mean, my daughter has also ordered a few things in the past because she's a really big collector. Those went to our house, but with a different login. So each scenario is a little different. But as I was ordering for someone else, sending them to their house, and just happened to use my credit card, I feel like that's as legitimate as it gets. So I don't know.
Terry Miller.
All right. Saying that I figured I could still get one later on. No, not necessarily. I'm very fortunate to be sometimes connected, but I don't get special favors all the time. And I certainly do not count on any that I ever do get either.
Not usually from the manufacturers directly.
Tommy Hawk says it's actually a blessing for Discmania so they can afford Eagle. Well, I know Eagle's locked into
another year
of his contract, so, I think, regardless.
Yeah, and we'll see. I know there was some serious courting of Eagle during his last contract negotiation. We'll see what happens with Discmania and the direction they move. It would be difficult and hurt them if they lost Simon and then the next year lost Eagle. But it depends next year if they pick somebody else up. If they pick up a young gun like a Gannon Burr, who I think is next year his contract is up. If you traded, so to speak, Eagle for Gannon, that's not much of a downgrade with the way, assuming Gannon continues his play. There are so many variables right now. It's very tough to call this much ahead of next year.
Yeah, exactly. When we have a full year that needs to unfold. A lot of people, of course, thinking that Simon is going to Innova. That has been another. I feel like for as much as you hear Simon to MVP, you also hear, not quite as loudly, but quite a few people predicting a swap to Innova. Of course, we've talked about the molds and so on and so forth. And really, if you look at it, somebody messaged me today and said, wait, why is everyone leaving Innova? Which isn't necessarily the case, but why is everyone? And, who do they have for their superstars? And you immediately, point to one of the best in the world being
Calvin Heimberg
on the team. And then, of course, they still have their other staples that have been on the team.
Coling, Sexton,
Barsby, all to name a few of their, top-level pros. So, but would it make sense? Is there, so to speak, money freed up that they're not paying a Ricky Wysocki as of last year anymore, that they're not paying an Anthony Barela or anyone else right now, that someone like a Simon may be able to slide in there? I don't think that's a crazy philosophy.
Innova probably has some of the deepest pockets in our game. If you just want to look at disc sales, obviously we've got other companies like MVP, like Lone Star, that have other interests and other companies that back them as well for their other manufacturing. But if you want to look at just the biggest pockets in disc manufacturing, I mean, it would make sense that Innova would be able to throw a ton of money at a Simon. The Simon to Innova just doesn't feel, to me, like a necessarily a great fit. Simon feels so, like, to me, Innova doesn't really seem to attack the social game. Like, you don't hear a lot about their players really going hard on YouTube or things like that. Like, Innova values solid, I mean, everyone values solid players, but Innova seemingly more so than most. And so that's why, to me, it just doesn't feel like a fit. Now, maybe they're looking at changing that. Maybe they're looking to get a better social media presence. And having Simon would nail that. But it just doesn't feel right now. But things changed. Didn't feel right when Paul went to Discraft either. And now look at what's going on.
Ed says all of Innova's signature discs are spoken for. No room for Simon.
Oh, yeah. There's 1,000. There's Innova has 1,000. They just announced a new disc today. The Charger.
Yeah.
Literally, they say it's like in between a Shrike and a Destroyer. Hello, Simon. Here's a brand new Charger, or any of the old Discmania molds that they call something different now.
Yeah, I feel as if you do bring up a great point, Ed, and maybe I'm just a little bit out of the loop, which is not crazy to think. Is there anyone's name on the Destroyer right now? And if so, whom? Because I can't think of it.
Is it? I think it's just stock now. I mean, other than Calvin's Halo ones, but stock Destroyers, I think, are just stock Destroyers right now.
So, I mean, from a sales perspective, something tells me that might be an okay. I don't know if you guys have heard of these Cloudbreaker things, but they're not a huge leap from the Destroyer. So anyway, just throwing that out there. Tommy Hawk says it's got to be Infinite. He can still throw Discmania, and they will both win. So we sell, yes. Anyway, needless to say, things are in the works. When will we see? That's the number one question, really, at this point, is when will we see the announcement? My Intel / prediction will be this upcoming weekend. I think we'll see something announced. Obviously, they want to give room for the Doombird 4 mayhem. Obviously, there's a few big announcements this week in terms of a few other players that they may or may not have known about, but days like today, pretty big in terms of the new signings. And then
not next Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Maybe it could be, but if it's not, I would predict Saturday.
Okay.
That would be just my prediction.
Terry, put a little weight behind us.
I've got plenty for both of us. I don't know if I need to do any of that. So we'll see what happens. Eagle says the announcement is just a few days away, is what Ed is saying. So, yeah. I guess all the questions will then be answered. And the DG Beat says Simon to DGA. Is there? Yeah, it's not even worth it. We've talked about it.
That would be, honestly, and I think Simon to DGA would be a lot of fun, because then you have Simon, one of the most likable people in the world, with Tyler Brickley, one of the most creative people in our sport. I think that could be a very fun pairing if that were to be the case. We did see that. First of all, we saw that Austin Hannum is no longer sponsored by Prodigy. He announced his separation from Prodigy, and he has not announced a new sponsor yet. I don't believe. At least I did not see.
We saw a separation, really. I just heard. The only thing I saw was that it said new sponsor announcement coming, and I very, very much could be behind the not in the loop.
I believe he posted that.
It was in another socials.
It was in Insta. No, it was Twitter.
Gram.
It was Twitter.
Do it for the gram.
I think I saw it on Twitter.
What is Twitter?
It's TWITTER.
Well, let's get on top of this. I only say that because I thought I saw a message that said, oh, here it is. It says Wednesday. New sponsor announcement Wednesday. Now that
That's true. He did not say he's.
Yeah, he did not say disc sponsor.
That's true.
So I feel like, I don't know, what's the speculation out there, folks? I think this is a non-disc sponsor.
Non-disc release.
Could be a new bag sponsor. One might say his significant other in Cat, who very much rocks the Squatch bags. Maybe
he's getting a Squatch sponsorship.
Yeah, I don't think he is currently with them in terms of the bags. Could be shoes. Could be anything.
You're right. I read.
I think you're jumping the gun, but we can start that rumor.
I can spread that rumor, no problem.
Yeah, we can start it.
He's suddenly like some Viking fan, so I honestly don't feel bad for him. And the other sponsorship announcement that we just glared over was the new sponsorship for Gannon Burr getting that Double G Craft Jerky sponsorship.
I think that's great. Just don't touch my hot boom sauce. All right.
What if it's Gannon hot boom sauce now?
That's fine. I can support. Just don't get in the way of the quantities that I need to purchase and consume of the hot boom. That's all I care about. Best of luck to the rest of you doing whatever you're doing. I don't care. Just keep that hot boom coming my way. And you didn't even know this, but that is a great segue. I want to say, aside from my consumption of it, huge thank you. Double G Jerky and I had a conversation, Ted over at Double G. We recently had a great in-depth conversation, and he had stepped up saying, I'd really like to continue to support coverage that I'm working on, namely in the next few months in terms of some of these upcoming events that are going to be released on my channel. So big shout out to Double G, but then his business partner, Ted, and Double G Jerky. Little secret, guys. I'm going to eat their jerky whether they support me or not, but it is beautiful that more hot booms coming my way and they are supporting me in a significant way, and I appreciate that.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not totally crazy here because I'm seeing other people on the board say that they saw that that Austin Hannum was leaving Prodigy.
Okay.
So I thought I saw that, but then the announcement didn't say it, so I've second-guessed myself.
As you should.
Which maybe I should. So anyway... if it is true he's leaving Prodigy, there's obviously other places he can go. You know, there's obviously, like you said, DGA makes a lot of sense, seeing as how he's with Cat, but not if he's following my rule book, but that'll work.
I mean, is it fair to go out to the...
On Austin said on Facebook, he's excited to announce, I have a change with my main disc manufacturer.
A change? He could be getting promoted.
He could be.
I mean, there's some clever wording that can get thrown around out here. I'm going to try and head over to Prodigy. And I mean, I need to get to the bottom of this like now. So if we go over to there, I'm not sure if that will give us all the details that we need. They have a new box set that they're offering up if you want to go check that out. Here's this. Why am I not finding...
I think you literally have to Google the Prodigy team because they don't have like a link for it up top.
There we go. It's under the About.
Oh, it's under the About.
Well, and then there's a street team.
Just hit Team Prodigy up there once.
Do they? Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Tournament team, ambassador team.
You want the core team, I believe.
Where we see Alden Harris, we see Austin Hannum, Kale LaVisca, Ezra Robinson, Isaac Robinson, Kevin Jones, Heather Young, Gannon Burr, Luke Humphreys, Luke K. Loretzen, Manabu, Seppo, Vino Macula, and Will Schustrick. And I think we also saw that Will Schustrick made a post recently saying that he's excited. He said, no surprise, I'm with Prodigy. That we got. But I think I thought he referenced even within that post that he might be trying to play a little bit more golf this year.
That would be phenomenal.
If so, that would be awesome to see.
Yeah, I know.
Or I could be making that up, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw.
I hope so. It would be fun to see Will get back out on the course. I mean, he was one of our long throwers, and if he feels comfortable now with where the family is, I know obviously his young son had quite a few medical issues for the first year or two of his life, but if he feels comfortable now where they're at and he feels he can get on the road a little bit with his team, more power to him, man. I would be really excited for that.
I'll read it. I guess we could interpret as you wish. He posted a day ago saying, no surprise here. I'm looking forward to hitting some big events in 2023 while also hosting events making videos, and designing courses. We have an amazing team and look forward to making 2023 great. Hashtag Prodigy Disc. So
Awesome. Good for him.
very cool. All right. Let's see what's on the board. Tim asks a valid question that I was also asked the other night as to Heather Young. Is she still retired? Are we going to see her on the tour? Is she all right? I don't personally have any updates on Heather. I hope that all is well. We saw her, jump off the tour. Is that last year now? At the early part of last year in 2022 or 2021? I'm losing my years. But yeah, unfortunately, we haven't seen Heather. Whatever she has going on, her and her game and or family, hopefully everything is working out in her best interest. And
I do feel it's tough because we don't know what's going on in the background. We don't know what type of issues or family or whatever, just decisions that are being made. But it feels like she's really almost missing the boat on some of these big sponsorship deals that were maybe she had the opportunity to take. She was one of the best putters in the female division, and so she could have been able to possibly continue to take those top 5s and 10s and really earn herself a solid sponsorship. But you know what, as we all know, disc golf isn't everything, and if life steps in the way, sometimes you just need to follow that path.
All right, reading a few others off the board. Someone says that they have Seppo on there. That's outdated. Not really. And I'll just say, I mean, he
retired, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's not on the team anymore. He's still part owner.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah,
Prodigy
I think
Europe.
Everybody has to call him daddy or something. I don't know, but he's very much 100% Prodigy. Yeah. If he's listed on there, that's certainly not going to detract, in my opinion, whatsoever, one way or another. Someone says, surprise. Are you surprised we didn't see Prodigy sign a couple of big FPO? Yeah, I mean, considering that we saw a few FPOs ultimately, leave and then transition elsewhere, I don't know how much Prodigy was in that conversation. I don't know how much they were in the market for it, but, seeing your Lisa Fakis move, seeing your Stacey Ronsley, obviously Valerie ended up moving.
Maybe that's
so
where
on
Paige
and so
Shue
forth.
is going.
Paige Shue could potentially land there. I don't know if surprise is the word, but you're right. We didn't see any major new additions from what I just read off. Jacob Curtis is out on the board, otherwise known as Cupcake. Hope you're doing well, man. Jacob, of course, will be again representing Clash in 2023. Also, quick shout out. I was just getting in the shower and I wasn't about to shower with those guys, but Disc Golf Answer Man.
Never.
Disc Golf Answer Man was up and running for a live show this afternoon, and the early part that I did hear him say was that they kind of took what ended up being a very abrupt break, and then holidays and everything else, and they're planning, and Robert McCall with the new responsibilities and whatnot that he has, they took a very abrupt break to Disc Golf Answer Man, but now it is back on the upswing to get back in the swing of things. I need to
reach out to Robert McCall. I haven't chatted with that guy in a while.
Look for that, and they filmed it earlier today. I'm sure it's still on YouTube. Otherwise, he said it would be available as a podcast tomorrow, so make sure you check them out. And they had stated Clash will, support their podcast. However, Clash Disc will be, but it will continue to talk about all brands and all things on the Answer Man podcast.
Ray Zerhausen asks, JVD, we got to at least mention the Packers and the NFL. How do you think Rodgers is going to hold Green Bay hostage for the next 6 months? No, I don't think so. I think he'll make a decision one way or the other, probably in the next month. The dude is owed next year $53 million. So
for next year?
Yeah, that's hard to turn away. It's hard to walk away from. Not that he needs the money, I'm sure, but an extra $53 million, it never hurts. Spending cash.
That's assuming he plays, or is he guaranteed that no matter what happens?
Assuming he plays, he's owed $53 million. It's his option to play. He can step away and retire and not take that $53 million. But like I said, he has more money than he knows what to do with. Like $53 million is a lot of money.
I know, but $53 million in 1 year is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but if you already have $200 million, $53
million is 25% more.
I understand.
Oh, you said 200? No,
I don't know what he has.
12.5% more. Whatever.
Still, I don't. I don't know what he has, but ultimately, and it's tough because if he stays, it's on one hand, I think he does have another year in him. I think now that he's got these wide receivers that he's becoming more comfortable with, I think they'll be a better team, and I think he still has the skills to play. But that $53 million, man, against the cap, that hurts. In that it's hard to sign any free agents when you have that much money wrapped up in one person. Look how rough Discraft is doing with all their money wrapped up in Paul.
Great.
Not the same kind of analogy. No, there are no salary caps in disc golf.
How good? And I know there's plenty of criticism of Rodgers, maybe on and off the course. I get all of that. I do. He's still an above average, skilled quarterback. Like most teams
there are probably
would look at Aaron Rodgers and be like, damn, we'd still take him. I mean, not that they could afford him, blah, blah, blah. But like his straight up skill set is still well above probably league average.
Yeah, there's probably 12 or 13 quarterbacks that I would look at right now and be like, I wish I had that guy over Rodgers.
Okay. That many.
Yeah, and that's mostly because they're good and they're young.
Sure.
But there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that I wouldn't want. Like, there was a lot of talk on the board about Lamar Jackson, who I would take Rodgers over Lamar Jackson. I would take, Geno Smith, who's in the playoffs for Seattle now. I would take Rodgers over him, and Geno's a couple years younger than Rodgers. But, I mean, you've got a lot of young guys now that are coming in that are mobile, they're good, it's tough, but I would still take Rodgers' skills and knowledge of the game and being able to read defenses and whatnot. And, we had issues this past game where we lost to the Lions, but most of them weren't on Rodgers. He didn't make. There were one or two decisions he made that I didn't love with throwing the ball, but for the most part,
those still aren't a blip on the Brett Favre radar either.
Well, they were
just used to throw it up in the air.
They were a little Brett Favre
happened.
But our running back fumbled. One of our Dobbs, one of our wide receivers, missed a ball right in his hands.
Yeah.
Like there were other things, and I think that again, you give this guy another year with these rookie wide receivers. I think we're gonna, we're not we would not probably be an 8-9 team. We'd probably be closer to, I'd like to think, a 10-6 team. But again, I don't know. It all depends on what else happens with free agents and stuff. And it's, I mean, if he leaves, that's life. And then we go with Jordan Love and we see what's going on there, And we might, we might be in 30 more years of doom like our parents were.
Yeah. Yeah, which would be crazy.
We've been blessed as Packer fans.
We certainly have over these last couple of decades. All right. Aaron says, being from Detroit, hell yeah. Yeah, I could see how you would feel so good about not continuing on with your season and being able just to piss in someone else's Cheerios. I guess.
No, that's, yes, 100%.
No, I get it. I get it. Of course, from a rivalry perspective, but it's also, in the same token, a little sad and pathetic that that's the best you can go for, right?
I mean, it is. Here's what I'll say. Congratulations on a winning season for the first time in I don't know how many decades
since we've been alive.
I know. So it's. I'm happy for Lions fans that they're seeing a little bit of success and that they're almost thinking about being a playoff team. If things had gone a couple different ways, they might have been a playoff team this year. So we'll see. I mean, that's good. They've got a solid core in Detroit, but it wouldn't shock me next year if they went 4-13 again. It just that's the way the NFL is. And again, I'm happy for the Lions fans who knocked the Packers out. I would feel the same way if we knocked the Vikings out or if we knocked the Bears out of contention. So
yeah.
That's your Midwest
inner rivalry. Yeah.
So
wasn't there a year though that the Lions had as many wins as I did in the NFL?
Yes.
So that's impressive.
That is impressive. So that just goes to show you that's a hurting franchise. They're one state above the Browns. Almost quite literally.
Is that I don't know, tripping up the stairs, and while you're doing it, you grab someone else's ankle? I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice work. But again, yes, all part of it. Aaron says good night.
Sorry,
As you should, Aaron. As you should.
Much love, buddy.
Anyway, thought this was a DG channel.
This is the after show, bro.
It's the after show, Jeremy, so anything can get talked about, although that will likely be the end of our football. Ed does ask, who wins Shelly Sharp on the FPO side, Jen Allen or Maria Oliva? I mean,
Flip
it's
a coin, honestly.
battle of the Texans to some degree, the old school Texan, Oklahoma. No, I don't know. Yeah, it'll be a great battle. Clearly no shortage of power by either of those women. Jen clearly lives there and is very, very familiar with all the courses. But it's going to come down to, I think, more so whose putter is doing more work that particular weekend. We've seen Maria can get on fire with her putter, and I've seen Jen Allen have so many opportunities at birdie that even if she only gets a fraction of them, she still beats people. I mean, she's just can drive so much better and put herself in contention more so than a lot of her competitors, especially on a course like that. So it will be a good battle. I'm committing to at least final round coverage. I don't know if we're going to have rounds 1 and 2, but at least final round coverage of that event on the FPO side. And MPO, Jonathan White is claiming AB for the win. It's going to be a fun battle. Aaron Gossage last year was in the thick of things. AB, Drew Gibson, all those guys are going to be there as well.
I mean, AB's going to have new plastic, so you don't know. Maybe that putter isn't quite what he thinks, and can he get himself close enough on a lot of these that the putter doesn't matter?
Yeah, we'll see. What did he say? CT focus. SS? I don't know.
CT focus, and then he gave the plastic, which was like a rubber blend or something.
Oh, the rubber blend, that was it. Yeah, I don't have time to keep up with all of these anymore. We've evolved from knowing a few molds to now.
Listen, we rattled off a lot of molds to Holyn.
That's true.
That she just didn't even consider.
Blank. Yeah, just blank.
I mean, that's
we didn't even talk about the deuce either.
No.
Nope.
I think she should be putting with the APX.
Yes, the soft swirly APX. That would be,
or maybe the Hypercolor Challenger would really fit her.
Yeah. The UVs have made a little bit of a comeback.
Have they?
We've seen a little bit of comeback to some of the UV plastics. So, Spock Heiser, I assume you've been around long enough to know that before. Maybe this is a little lesson, and somebody could argue with me otherwise and be wrong. CT listed as crazy tough. Didn't used to be CT for crazy tough. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I vaguely.
So
I don't know what it stood for.
Back in the day, when a world champion had left Team Innova and then was part of Team Discraft, his concern was to have an AVR-like putter because that's what he had putted with. And so there was a very firm challenger that was made, which was called a Cam Todd Challenger. And Cam Todd eventually was no longer part of Team Discraft. And so I think rather than trying a rebranding strategy or entire marketing swap, rather than changing it out for being a CT, which was Cam Todd Challenger, Crazy Tough became the
abbreviation.
Exactly. So there's a little lesson. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it went down. All right. I want to go to your Golden Pinecone, Tim Turney. Tim.
Tim Courts is running a local tournament.
Ooh, let's get this ad in here.
And it's in our Discord. If you want to find our Discord, I'll make a post on it, maybe in the show notes or something if I remember. And it's basically just there's different rules. You go out there. It's got to be scored on UDisc. You play your local course, and it's a couple different things like that. I didn't. So
it's kind of like a satellite challenge of sorts.
I believe so.
Where you kind of like they've done with the global event.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm fairly certain of that.
Okay, I like it. Ryan Pilcher's out on the board. Hope you're doing well there, Ryan. But Tim says it's on his private course. So are we going to his house or not?
Tim, that's only at your course? I'm sorry, I read that as that was like a global thing you were running. So if that's at your private course, Tim, that's awesome.
Should you go?
Everyone should go. Just show up.
Let's start doxing him right now. Also, somebody had asked earlier if I had the chance to see the Mint Dis announcement with regard to Mason Ford, and I was able to consume the live announcement version for a little while. So, and essentially what I saw was they had a little bit of a tease where they went live. Then they did the video, the pre-recorded video, which, as Johnny commended earlier and said was great. He loved it. I loved it as well. I thought it was great. I saw that, and then I saw them introduce Mason inside the brewery. I think they're at Live Oak. They introduced him inside the brewery, brought him out, and then they had some questions, and he talked a little bit. And then at that point, I had cut out because I had to go do something else. But that's what I had seen. I don't know if you have more of a follow-up than that, but that's what I did see take place on Friday. So, all right. What else? Are we missing anything else that's actually in the news, disc golf news, that we should know about?
I don't believe so. I think we kind of talked about almost everything that really needed to be talked about, Terry Miller.
One of the other pieces of information that I don't have all of it in front of me, but I know they were talking recently about 1,100 rated rounds and just the actual scarcity of them.
There's a Sporkle. For those of you that don't know Sporkle, it's kind of like a quiz website where you can create your own quizzes that I believe Statmando went out and listed more or less all of the 1,100 rated rounds last year and whether or not you knew them or not. So, and my understanding was even the guy who created the quiz only got like 150 out of 155 or something. Like he created the quiz, wrote it, put it in there, and then even he forgot that the quiz is that difficult if you can name them.
Okay.
I certainly couldn't.
I think the one tidbit that I saw, something like out of the millions of recorded rounds within disc golf history that are linked to Statmando that they're aware of, and again, I'm going to totally misquote this, but I thought it was something like 0.00000068, something like that, have been 1,100 rated. Like just this absolutely infinitesimal, tiny little number of overall rounds that have ever hit 1,100. And then we talk about the frequency in which they take place at the Memorial due to a whole myriad of reasons, so on and so forth, but just how often that they really happen. And they're not nearly as common as I think we like to think about or talk about, especially when you put them in the scope of all potential rated rounds. I mean, is that kind of like, I was almost going to say, is that kind of like 300 games in bowling compared to every game that gets bowled in a year? But I'd almost go as far as saying
probably
like,
more 300 games.
I was just going to say how many 900 series, which is, I don't even know how many, I don't even know if those exist. I'll show a little ignorance there. I don't even know if there's no way is there a 900 series? Now I want to look it up.
There's got to be. I guarantee
you. Think somebody, I think 36 consecutive strikes for a 900 series in a sanctioned scenario. How many 900 bowling series are there? To date, 39 individuals have bowled a total of 40 certified or sanctioned 900 series.
There you go, Terry.
39 individuals. I don't know who knows what about bowling. Obviously, the 300 is incredible.
What's
900?
What shocks me is that the first one was in 97. At
was
least
that the first one documented?
The first one documented, and maybe it says here in U.S. BC history. So maybe before that there wasn't a U.S. BC history. Because, I mean, bowling has been relatively popular since like the 40s or 50s is when, whatever. But, of course, the technology has changed and there's all this different stuff. But, yeah. Man,
we could go out and watch the last 3 strikes of Aaron Vollmer's 900 series.
No, I'm good.
That's insane.
It is.
I can't even fathom. Yeah, Indiana man. In June 29th of 2022, Brian Deck of Newcastle became the 40th U.S. bowler to roll a perfect 900 series. Elkhart Lake man did it in 2021. That's not far from us.
Wait, when was that you said?
In June 29th of 2022.
That one's not.
It's not even on there?
No, because it must not be part of the U.S.
Oh, there's the Elkhart Lake guy. Look at him. Yeah, there's Greenfield, Wisconsin. Obviously, this is a very popular bowling place. So
we used to actually have the Bowling Congress here in Milwaukee, the U.S. Bowling Congress.
Man, I gotta have a. We need to get some of these people on the show.
Oh no, we don't.
Yeah,
you can
so
have it on
you threw a
the
ball 36 times just in a perfect spot.
Yeah, I mean,
in one night.
You can have that on the drop zone, Terry. You've got a podcast for all your awful ideas.
That's true. I do. All right. Well, needless to say, color me impressed. There have been 40.
Yeah. I mean, there's been clearly more than that, but these
sure.
The one in that was particularly a registered one. There's probably another. I bet you probably twice this total in history.
Sure.
Of people that haven't registered it in a particular,
or
maybe they had it in a league or something like that, but
somehow wasn't sanctioned. I don't know. I would not have guessed 40 of them. Color me impressed.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Tim says he hasn't bowled in 15 years. Well, Tim, you got some work to do if you want to catch up. So
my high bowling game in my entire life was 189, and I felt like I was on fire.
Well, yeah.
And and the funny part was, I was subbing in. It was a 3-game set, whatever. I was subbing in for somebody in a bowling league. And they asked me, like, what do you normally bowl? And I'm like, I'm
90.
I'm like, I'm 100 to 110. I'm good. Like, okay.
You have the night of your life.
I had the
sandbagging ass.
The first game, I had the game of my life. I bowled a 189. I think I had 3 or 4 strikes, and I was like, "Holy crap!" And everyone's looking at me like,
"Well, you had more than 3 or 4 if you bowled a 189."
Yeah, and I was I had the night of my life, or the game of my life. The next game, I think I bowled a 70 or an 80.
Yeah, so it evened out.
And so it was, literally, I was just like, and they were like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "I don't know." I came up off the couch and crazy. That was similar to the one time I played a buddy of ours, Pat Sattler, and I went out, and we played cricket one night at a local bar. I closed cricket out in 7 rounds. I hit everything. A couple triples, a couple doubles I got lucky with. I've never closed out cricket and probably less than 10 rounds in my life. That night, 7. I was like, look at this. Who's the man? And then I think our next game probably went 15 or 20 rounds or something. Something dumb. But, everyone has their moments.
Yeah. All right. Well, Johnny V is going to line up our Smashbox giveaway here for the week. Unless you've already done that. But as you talked about earlier.
It is ready and raring to go. By the way, this week we had like 7 or 8 people do the weekly giveaway option. So congratulations. Now, to be fair, you have to do that every week. If you want to be eligible for that, you have to go every week and sign up. I only
show
picked
that
the last
commitment.
Weeks. So that's why if you go to patreon.com/SmashboxTV, you're automatically entered in. You don't need to remember that every week because we don't mention it every week, and you're going to forget. And then you're going to be really disappointed when you don't get this disc member box like someone tonight is going to get.
Yeah, they are.
Patreon.com/SmashboxTV. That's all we'll say. So, Terry, we have 155 people eligible for our giveaway tonight. What number are we going to draw? I think I know the number you're going to pick.
Because you think I always pick 2. But I'm going to pick 5. We're going to go.
Ooh, I thought you were going to go 3.
Oh, no.
Because we had 3 guests tonight.
Yeah,
That's what I was going to go with.
I'm for some reason I'm on that 5 train. We're gonna go with the 5th one.
The fifth number. So our first number is 65. Second number is 109. Third number is 17. Fourth number is 60, and our 5th and final number, the winner tonight, is going to be number 12. I sorted them by email address tonight. 12. Let me pull up our 12th person in my list here if I can get my mouse to work. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. And 12 is, I almost said Bo Jackson, but it's Ben Jackson.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson would be cooler. Sorry, Ben. Bo don't know.
Yeah, just think of...
Bo knows disc golf, but Ben knows disc golf. Thank you, Ben Jackson. You Patreon supporter at the $3 level. Much appreciated.
Yes, thank you very much. Tim just asked on the board and said, any updates on the Patreon disc?
I have them upstairs, and I just need to sign them and hand them over to Terry. And
yes,
then we're good to
and
go.
the plan is to get those out before I head out for a lengthy venture. So that would be the plan, which would give us a little less than 2-ish weeks.
I will hand them to you sometime this week then.
So a little less than 2 weeks before. At some point, there's a really good chance, and you can put this on your calendar, Johnny. There's a pretty good chance I'm going to be gone for 5 straight weeks. It will be likely the longest departure from my homeland or house at a given moment or a given stretch of time. Just with so many things going on. A couple weeks in Thailand. I am going to be at have a part of the All-Star Weekend, and then we have Vegas, then we have Memorial. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And with that, since you didn't ask,
I never do.
So we'll have to figure out a few of those weeks. Obviously, the timing may or may not work out. Your biggest nightmare may come true in that you're going to have to look for a replacement guest for a few weeks. I don't know how you're going to survive. Or a replacement co-host for a few weeks.
We don't need replacement co-hosts, Terry. I do just fine on my own.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
We might just stream Mario Kart. I'm just me and Adam Hammis and Corey Ellis.
You could do that. What the heck was I about to look up?
And I will just absolutely talk shit as I demolish them.
Those kids don't know. What the heck was I going to look up? I apologize. It wasn't something to do with the disc. I don't know what it was.
I am investigating right now, talking podcast stuff.
Oh, Logan Paul.
What are you?
That's not going well for him. Investigations?
Oh, investigations. Yeah, we briefly.
It's not gotten much better.
After the podcast, Terry and I were.
Which I'm not going to lie. Quick side note to all of that. I wouldn't mind seeing him and his brother taken down and then just eliminated from all internets for the rest of my life. But that's another story. Go on.
Yeah, and they seem like not great human beings. I'm starting to investigate a change in our podcast provider.
Ooh, what does that mean?
So right now we use Libsyn. So every night I upload the podcast to Libsyn. I'm looking at some other providers to see what's out there and what we might have for options. So just be prepared. This won't affect you if you're a Patreon supporter because you get your own private RSS feed.
Yeah, you do.
So you get right away if you're a Patreon supporter. I upload it pretty much every night. And then the other ones come out either the regular show comes out tomorrow morning at 9:30, and then the after show I push out on Friday. And all that would do is, I think, depending on the number of views and what we can do, if I move to another company, they might be able to do some ad revenue for Smashbox, depending on what we're doing. So anyway, I'm just doing some investigation. So just be aware. I'll let you know if anything changes out there in the grand scheme of things. But Patreon supporters will always get an ad-free version of this show. The only ads that we have on the show are the ones that when Terry plugs his own stuff.
I do. Speaking of, my disc in a box.
Let me tell you about Skip Ace.
you go first. What can people expect for Skip Ace here?
Oh, what do you mean?
What are you working? Well, when will people be able to pick?
So the leagues will probably open in about a week and a half. And at that point, you'll be able to sign up for new or recurring leagues. If you had a league from last year, I believe we'll be able to renew it. Still working on that. My web developer actually took a couple days off because he moved from Utah to Milwaukee, of all places. So I'm going to actually kind of have a lunch with him.
For bowling.
Yeah, for bowling. Who knew? Meet in person for the first time. I've never met him. We've had Zoom calls, and at some point, I think this summer, I actually want to take him out disc golfing. He's an outdoorsy kind of guy, younger. But he knows nothing about fantasy sports, and he knew nothing about disc golf coming into this project. He was just a good web developer that I worked with, so I'd like to get out.
Sounds like you should sign him up and get him playing if he knows nothing about him.
That's clearly.
I mean, that's who I want to play against.
But yeah, so everything will be available. I'm hoping by the 20th, so about a week and a half, maybe the 23rd, depending on what happens, and we'll be good to go. It'll be exciting, and you'll hear more about it in the next week or two.
Okay. Somebody asked about a Schwebe tracker. I did speak to Schwebe not too long ago, but he is up to career win 351, currently at career event 797, and the win count is at 351. And of course, you're like, oh, but is he playing this weekend?
Yeah,
yes,
he's
playing this weekend. No, just one currently for this weekend. Then the next weekend, he's got back-to-back events. The weekend after that, he's playing an event. The weekend after that, and so on and so forth. And we're going to see him out at the Las Vegas Challenge. Schwebe has not stepped foot out in Vegas in quite a few years, so really looking forward to seeing him out there.
Wasn't he banned from Vegas for like that weird thing?
Seems like something that would happen to him. But it wasn't his fault. I swear it was not his fault. It
wasn't me.
It's never your fault in Vegas, is what I've been told. So, nonetheless, congrats to Schwebe as he keeps rolling on this ridiculous winning path. And I'm going to break a little news that's not totally private, but Schwebe's eligible for MP50 this year. And so to see how he can continue to wreck folks there should be exciting.
There's some other news that you and I know.
Probably. I don't know what.
That affects the Disc Golf Pro Tour and what you're doing and stuff like that. That I don't know if it's been announced yet publicly.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I
know everyone at DGN knows, but I didn't know if anyone else knew. So maybe we'll announce it next week. We'll talk about it next week.
But that does spark me thinking about what I was going to mention a little bit ago, which is, and I think we briefly touched on it, but of course the Disc Golf Pro Tour had made mention and very much put it out there, the DGPT Industry Conference. And that is taking place the couple of days leading into the All-Star Weekend. And I want to bring up a few details just so I make sure I share them with you correctly. There's various confirmed speakers and session topics. Shopify best practices, elite level course design with Kale and Brinster and others. Steve Dodge and entrepreneurship, Infinite Disc and OTB talk about national retail. More retailers by other people, equipment in disc golf, Bushnell, Grip, Zuka, nonprofits, social media roundtable. I think that's where I'm going to be. That and the state of DG Media, I think, are a couple of the ones that I'm going to be partially involved with. Joe Mez is going to be involved with that. And then DGPT event best practices. So all of that, there's been an announcement, dgpt.com. That's where you can find out more information if you qualify and if that fits something that you would be either eligible and interested in doing. That's the 15th through the 17th, literally just the day leading right into the All-Star Weekend. And I've been graciously asked to be part of it. I knew as soon as I heard that it was coming out, of course I had kind of likened it to what we were thought we might see from Infinite last year for the Disc Golf Con, but this is a little bit more dialed in, and it doesn't have as much in terms of.
This is not for your casual player.
Yeah, this is
this is an industry conference. If you're a serious TD. Maybe this is a good place for you to go.
Or some form of retail or something that fits some of these categories. Disc Golf Con was definitely a little bit more broad and focused on a fan experience for seeing some of our top-level pros. This is not quite the same. This is definitely a different version of that, or has a different slant to it. But it's going to be the first one ever, and I'm super excited. I wanted to go to be a fly on the wall and to take it in. And now I've been asked to come in and essentially give a portion of a presentation as well. So super excited about it. And thank you to everyone at the Disc Golf Pro Tour for extending the offer for me to be part of it. So very excited.
So much fun.
Oh, now I think I maybe know what you're talking about with the super top secrets, but those are not to be discussed here yet.
I didn't think so.
But there might be exclusive news here on Smashbox. We'll see about that.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
All right, guys, I think it's about that time. I don't see anything unless there's other stuff on the board.
Are we going to get with the rhythm and the rhyme?
Yeah.
Okay.
Feel it. Good vibrations. Ray says, it is crazy y'all give us a 3 to 4 hour podcast week after week. We are lucky to be in the golden age. We are seriously lucky that that greater than 0 people actually bother to tune in. That's what we are thankful for, is that greater than 0 people find even an ounce of value or entertainment value. I don't know. However
Even if
you
you're
look
hate
at
watching, we love you.
it. Yeah. So we very much do appreciate all of you guys.
I think I mentioned it last week when we had some guests over to our house, and somebody came down here, and the guy was like,
"Yep,
you talk about disc golf for like 2 to 3 hours every week. Is there that much to talk about?" There always is. We never have a problem.
There always is plenty. John, no, Simon's not leaving. He's not going anywhere. I heard he was leaving the country. Yeah, I won't be doing any research, Tim. I ain't got time for that. If it's not in the dome, it ain't coming. Guys, we appreciate it. Thank you to all of our incredible guests that we had earlier. Of course, James Conrad, along with Holyn Handley, along with Anthony Barela, the assist from Hannah Macbeth. Go check out the Party Podcast over there on the Disc Golf Network. For Johnny V, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. This has been Podcast 437's After Show. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smash Box.